Ice apocalypse. This is how you can stock up on the greatest beauties. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201 The Profound Art of Language. Shen Yan'an looked at Wang Shanshan with a confused face, and then looked at the tied men over there. I suddenly cursed in my heart that those men were all embroidered pillows. This was too useless. You should persist until she comes. I originally wanted to show off my prowess in front of my brother-in-law, but I never thought that she would never have the chance to show off. What a pity. If Shen Miao knew what her sister Shen Yan'an was thinking, she would definitely be shocked, and she would not know when her sister became crooked. Brother, are you the one who makes the decision here? We sincerely surrendered. Can you let us go once? We are all survivors who have managed to survive until now. There is no need to kill each other anymore, right? Just. After Wang Shanshan reported the situation to Li Xiaoluo, Zhou Chang, who was tied up over there, suddenly shouted loudly towards Li Xiaoluo. Zhou Chang was lucky. In the previous battle, he was not directly hit by the arrows of the female soldiers because he was walking behind. In addition, he surrendered quickly enough later, so Wang Shanshan just tied him up and waited for Li Xiaoluo to be punished. Zhou Chang was almost desperate, because these women are so cruel. They can kill more people than men like them. Moreover, Zhou Chang had verbally offended Wang Shanshan and the others before, so Zhou Chang thought that they would definitely not end well. But now Li Xiaoluo has appeared, and it seems that he is the real boss here. More importantly, Li Xiaoluo is still a man. And Zhou Chang's Li Xiaoluo should also need men like them as combat power. But Zhou Chang may have forgotten that under normal circumstances, men are indeed much more capable than women. However, they had just lost to a group of women, so even if Li Xiaoluo's team wants to recruit men, their value is not that great. What's more, Li Xiaoluo's Taoyuan leader is not recruiting men yet. And they are not even qualified to talk to Li Xiaoluo. Shut up. If the Lord didn't ask you, then you have no right to speak. The female soldiers guarding the prisoners immediately scolded Zhou Chang coldly. The female soldiers of Taoyuan leader naturally knew that anyone who dared to come to trouble them would definitely not end well. Moreover, their territory does not recruit men, so they, the male captives, are not even qualified to join their territory. As a result, the female soldiers will naturally not have a good attitude towards men like Zhou Chang and others. Brother, the women under your command are all a bit dickish, aren't they? And there are no rules at all. You haven't even spoken yet. There's no place for be like them to talk, don't you think? Zhou Chang ignored the female soldier who scolded him. He just wanted to talk to Li Xiaoluo now. And by the way, they also provoked Li Xiaoluo to treat the women under him very harshly like they did before. Then his sowing discord will definitely make him vent his anger. After all, these women killed his two brothers and made them prisoners as well. It's a pity that in Li Xiaoluo's eyes, they were actually dead people long ago. They are definitely the ones who are truly unqualified to speak. Noisy, tell him to shut up. Li Xiaoluo pointed at Zhou Chang, who was speaking. Yes, Lord. Wang Shanshan responded quickly, and then quickly winked at one of her female soldiers. Naturally, the female soldier hurriedly followed the instructions, but for a while, she seemed unable to find anything to stop Zhou Chang's mouth. But a living person can't be choked to death by peeing, so the female soldier simply took off her sneakers and took off the socks that she had not washed for several months. The female soldier even put it to her nose and smelled it. Vomit. At this moment, the female soldier almost fainted. It's not that she doesn't care about hygiene, it's really that in this apocalyptic world, where are the conditions to teach her about hygiene? And it has been extremely cold weather before. But speaking of it, the heavy rain just stopped today, and they were originally planning to go outside to the water to wash their feet and change into a pair of socks. But before we go there, these blind guys come looking for trouble. That's just right. I'll give these smelly socks to them. What are you going to do? We all live in this villa area. We may have seen each other before the end of the world. Don't you want to humiliate people like this, eh? Zhou Chang wanted to say something else, but the female soldier stuffed the sour and smelly socks into his mouth. Zhou Chang suddenly felt his stomach churn and he was greatly insulted. He began to struggle desperately, trying to spit out the smelly socks that were blocking his mouth, but he was firmly controlled by a few female soldiers, so there was no way he could do it. Vomit. In the end, the surging substance returned to his stomach because it was blocked. Under the double nausea, Zhou Chang fainted from the anger. Looking at the scene in front of him, Li Xiaoluo was also stunned for a moment when he originally said to shut up Zhou Cheng. He meant to kill Zhou Cheng directly. This kind of person wants to invade Taoyuan territory, and there is nothing about him that interests Li Xiaoluo. Then why keep it? Do we still need to treat him to a full meal before sending him on his way? But Li Xiaoluo didn't expect that his subordinates would immediately misunderstand what he just said, and then make such a talented move. Therefore, Chinese language art is sometimes so profound and profound. However, Li Xiaoluo didn't say much about this little incident. Li Xiaoluo turned to look at the water level that had reached the edge of Villa number 10. It was really dangerous. If the heavy rain continued for another half day, his villa area would probably be flooded, but Li Xiaoluo also knew that as long as he was not submerged now, there would be no danger later. Although the water world will last for a month this time, the water level will not rise again. However, even if the territory here is lucky enough not to be submerged, but it becomes the only island in the vicinity, it will definitely become a popular existence, and there will definitely be constant troubles coming. In fact, with Li Xiaoluo's current strength, as long as the country's warships don't come over, there is basically no big threat to him. But Li Xiaoluo has always been a person who is more afraid of trouble, so he had to find a way to avoid unnecessary troubles. Then, it's time to improve the strength of the female security team soldiers. In this way, there is basically no need for him to take action, so Li Xiaoluo called over Shen Miao and the two team captains of the security team, and then issued two orders. First, set up several high platforms with wooden piles near the waterfront in Villa number 10, and then hang the bodies of the men who invaded. This time this is called shock. By then, if another ship of foreign survivors comes to Taoyuan leader and sees the hung body, most people will not dare to go ashore again. Second, the female soldiers in the security team should also be equipped with some guns. Chapter 202 Gun Ceremony. Li Xiaoluo believed that as long as he implemented these two methods, all the survivors outside would not dare to come to Taoyuan again, but at least, the trouble will be reduced a lot. Even if some thugs who are not afraid of death come over in the future, Li Xiaoluo will basically not need to take action personally, and even if Li Xiaoluo is not on the territory, they can decide on their own whether there is trouble. Regarding Li Xiaoluo's order, Shen Miao and the others naturally obeyed unconditionally and quickly did it. They also felt that Li Xiaoluo's method was very good. First of all, hang the few thugs who want to come to Taoyuan to cause trouble today by hanging them on the water's edge to show the public. In the future, they can very well deter some weak survivors from coming ashore. After ordinary survivors from outside come here, as long as they see such a situation, they will definitely feel scared, so they can only go to other places. Even if only the villas and mountains in Taoyuan Collar were not flooded. If you go further, such as to the city, there must be other places or high-rise buildings that are not flooded. There is no need to insist on being a person who is not afraid of death, even though he knows it is very dangerous here. Of course, those who can be scared away with these corpses can basically only be ordinary survivors or small teams that are not strong enough. If you meet a powerful person, or the kind of thug team that will be formed on the water in the future to snatch survivors, then they won't be scared away by a few corpses, and by that time, those thug teams will basically be relatively strong. Maybe the female soldiers can no longer form an absolute advantage over the enemy simply by relying on weapons such as bows and crossbows. This is not Li Xiaoluo's style. Li Xiaoluo, whether it is himself or the female soldiers under his command, likes to be sure of victory and have an absolute advantage when dealing with the enemy. Therefore, to deal with such a team of thugs, the female soldiers must have more powerful firepower. That's why Li Xiaoluo equips female soldiers with guns. As long as the female soldiers are equipped with guns, even if the team of thugs who want to invade Taoyuan territory are stronger and have more people, the female soldiers can completely control the situation. In addition, the main reason why Li Xiaoluo equipped the female soldiers in the security team with guns was because the female soldiers were already relatively friendly. Loyalty is no problem, of course. At this stage, even Li Xiaoluo plans to equip female soldiers with guns. But he will still be very strict about all gun management. For example, unless there is a particularly critical situation, except for the two team captains, the other female soldiers in the security team will not have bullets in their guns. They are just for show. Of course, it's not all just showmanship. Even if there are no bullets, it can let them get more familiar with a gun, such as maintenance, aiming, etc. As for bullets, Li Xiaoluo will take out 1,000 pistol bullets and 1,000 rifle bullets, and then put them in Villa number 1 and give them to Shen Miao for safekeeping. In peacetime, just like the army before the end of the world, guns and bullets are separated. Only at the moment of need can you receive a certain number of bullets according to actual needs. It is actually very simple to collect bullets according to actual needs. For example, the two team captains, and they can receive a certain number of bullets every day when they are on duty to avoid encountering any emergencies, but when they get off work, they must hand in all the bullets. As for ordinary female soldiers, their guns are usually not equipped with bullets. Only when encountering a more dangerous situation, they would issue a warning based on the situation, and then Shen Miao would send them how much ammunition they needed based on the level of warning they issued. Xialuo's small territory also has small advantages. As long as he gives an order to any matter or policy, it can be implemented immediately. Shen Miao took all the women in the logistics department and quickly erected several tall wooden stakes on the waterfront of Villa number 10, and then hung the bodies of the men who were in Zhuocheng. Today I want to say here that although Wang Shanshan misunderstood Xialuo's intention before, she did not kill Zhuocheng and the men directly, but now they are all dead. However, Xialuo did not let the female soldiers take action anymore, but instead let the 6 women who came with Zhuocheng and others take action. Firstly, it is to let those women take revenge, and secondly, it is to test their courage. If you dare to kill someone, then stay. If you don't dare, then let them go back to where they came from. Then at noon, Xialuo gathered everyone in the villa area. First, it is to let them all see what happened to the intruder this time, and also to let them get used to it. After all, it is equivalent to hanging a few corpses in front of the house, if not everyone in the territory knows about it. If any timid woman suddenly sees it, don't be frightened. Secondly, let everyone gather together and hold a small gun ceremony. Life needs more sense of ritual to be interesting. This time Xialuo equipped the female soldiers of the security team with guns, which was naturally a big deal. It is a good thing for the safety of Taoyuan Collar. It's also a good thing for the female soldiers in the security team, because they will be safer and more confident when dealing with invading enemies in the future. In addition, Xialuo personally awarded the female soldiers of the security team with guns in front of everyone in the territory, which also made the female soldiers feel honored and made them feel that they were valued. In a passionate soundtrack, Wang Shanshan and Li Kaio took the female soldiers of their team, and then walked in front of Xialuo with neat steps. Xialuo walked up to Wang Shanshan, and then a pistol appeared out of thin air in his hand. Xialuo personally handed the pistol into Wang Shanshan's hands. Captain Wang, with this gun, you will be the real guards of our Taoyuan territory from now on. I hope you can shoulder the great responsibility of guarding the safety of Taoyuan territory in the future, so that no one in Taoyuan territory will be harmed at all. Wang Shanshan took the gun and saluted seriously. Lord, don't worry, we guarantee to complete the mission. Unless the enemy steps over our bodies, no enemy can even think of stepping into our Taoyuan. Xialuo nodded with satisfaction. After all, they had gone through several months of training. I have also adapted to the Taoyuan collar system. Now these female soldiers are very satisfied with Xialuo in terms of their loyalty, energy, and skills. Then continuing, Xialuo personally awarded a gun to other female soldiers. Every female soldier took the gun with a serious face, but they were really excited. After getting the gun, each female soldier couldn't help but touch her gun, just like touching her lover. Some women from the logistics department who were standing on the periphery as spectators had envy on their faces in Taoyuan collar. In fact, female soldiers in the security team are not only treated better than women in the logistics department, but their status has always been much higher than those in the logistics department, and now, female soldiers have the right to carry guns. This represents their glory and the Lord's trust in them. The women in the logistics department are naturally even more envious. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203. Change Your Bet. In the evening, many women in Villa Number 1 were busy in the kitchen preparing dinner. Although the chef is Liu Wuxi, other women will go to the kitchen to help with small tasks, such as washing vegetables and so on. In this apocalyptic world, everyone doesn't have too many pursuits, and there isn't much pressure for the time being. Perhaps the biggest pleasure every day now is eating and drinking well. However, when it was getting dark in the afternoon, the female soldier on duty at Villa Number 10 reported to Shen Miao that another group of survivors rode a raft and appeared in Taoyuan territory in the afternoon. Originally, the small raft was about to dock, but maybe because it saw the body hanging on the shore, it turned around and ran away immediately. Although the survivors who can survive to this day, especially men, Many of them may have killed someone or done bad things, but when they saw many hanging corpses, they would definitely feel frightened, because when you see those corpses, you can tell that the owner of this territory must be a ruthless person, so how dare they deliver it to your door? I had no choice but to turn around and run away immediately. Being able to scare away the enemy without a fight is naturally the best for the women of Taoyuan leader. At the same time, it can also be seen that the Lord's method is really good and can solve a lot of minor troubles. So originally there were several corpses hanging in Villa number 10, which the female soldiers thought was a bit scary, but now they all feel that it is not so unacceptable after hearing the reports from the female soldiers and knowing that 2 waves of survivors came to Taoyuan in one day. Shen Miao and the others realized something, that is, this is no longer the period of ice disaster. And more troubles may come to your door in the future. Not only must they be mentally prepared, but they must also be ready to fight at any time. In addition, Shen Miao also thought of something. Brother Xialuo, I think we still have one more thing to do. Huh? What happened, Shen? Miao smiled slightly and said, survivors now go out much more frequently. The corpses we hung on the shore can really scare most of the survivors during the day. But at night, if any survivors come in the dark, they can't even see the bodies, and if there is an enemy invasion at night, it will be more difficult for our people to find it. So I think we should pull a wire from our villa, and then install a few electric lights on the waterfront of Villa number 10, so that we can our territory also have light at night. Li Xialuo nodded after hearing this, hugged Shen Miao and kissed her tender face. Good. Wife, yes, your idea is indeed feasible. Anyway, we have wires and light bulbs, and supplying a few light bulbs does not use much electricity, and when you do it, you can also install more street lights in the territory, and you can also run wires to the occupied villas number 9 and 10. In this way, as long as necessary, the entire territory will have light at night. Not only will it facilitate everyone's life at night, but also if any enemies really come in after dark, they will have nowhere to hide. Shen Miao blushed with embarrassment after being kissed by Li Xialuo. Fortunately, no one was around at the moment. Everyone went to help prepare dinner. However, Shen Miao was quite happy to hear that Li Xialuo agreed with her plan. Shen Miao nodded and said, I know. Tomorrow I will look for anyone who knows how to be an electrician and ask them to do it tomorrow. After dinner in the evening, all the girls in the villa were doing what they wanted to do. Shen Yanyan and Zhao Xiaolu were playing games in the game room with Xiao Panpin. The game room in Villa number 1 was very big, and any monitor before the end of the world cost tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, even if it only played simple games. Fruit cutting games are quite fun. Shen Yanyan and Zhao Xiaolu liked to play. As long as they had nothing to do, they were frequent visitors to the game room, and little Panpin had never played these before, and she had a lot of fun following Shen Yanyan and the others. Now there is no schooling or comparison, so they can play without any pressure. Liu Wangxi usually reads a book, but she is reading recipes. After all, her main job now is cooking. Moreover, Li Xiaoluo has very high requirements for food and often wants to eat all kinds of delicacies in order to cook delicious food for Li Xiaoluo in different ways. Liu Wangxi can only recharge herself when she has time and work hard to learn various dishes or specialties. Of course, we no longer have access to the internet, so there is no way to learn from the internet, but there are also a lot of books about food on the villa. There are hundreds of thousands of delicacies recorded in any book, and Liu Wangxi is not afraid of not having a place to learn them. As for these books about food, of course Li Xiaoluo emptied out all the books in a library when he went out to look for supplies. One thing to say here is that with so many books brought back by Li Xiaoluo's study room in Villa number 1 must not be able to accommodate so many books, so Shen Miao and the others simply set up a small library in the logistics department. Women in the territory can also go and read books when they are bored after get off work. Li Xiaoluo, Shen Miao and Qin Yumei also found some entertainment in the evening. The 3 of them gathered at a table and played poker. Serious. The 3 of them, Li Xiaoluo, naturally play the most popular game of landlord, but now money has no value, so naturally you can't play with money, but playing cards is definitely not possible without a little bit of winnings, as that would be meaningless, so I could only put up a blank piece of paper in a naive way, and whoever lost would put a piece of white paper on the forehead. Li Xiaoluo didn't know why, but he was possessed by the god of gambling that night, and he basically kept winning, causing Shen Miao and Qin Yumei to have their foreheads and faces covered with notes. Okay, let's stop playing. Keep winning. I'm just bullying you, and it's meaningless. Just Give it up when it's good. Xialuo proposed to end the game. No, if you play for a while longer, you won't even get a single note, Kin. Yumi squeaked and refused. At first her face was covered with notes, and every time Xialuo won a card, she would scream. She really couldn't swallow this breath. Even Shen Miao, who had no interest in playing cards and was just brought in to make up the numbers, was a little unconvinced at this time and didn't want the game to end like this. I really didn't win at all. I was a little too unwilling. Even they are wondering, did their husbands cheat? Otherwise, they are obviously cooperating and letting each other off, so why can't they win against Xialuo once? So the two women who were already on top saw that Xialuo didn't want to play anymore, so they immediately became unwilling. Xialuo smiled secretly in his heart and pretended to be bored. I don't want to either. I think it's boring to win all the time. You guys should be more angry and let me experience the fun of being stuck with a sticker. It really deserves a beating. Looking at Xialuo with a stern look on his face, Shen Miao and Qin Yumi all share the same hatred. No, you have to keep playing. HMPH, don't be complacent. We were just unlucky before, but we will definitely win later. Hey, you can continue playing if you want, but you've all got notes on your faces, and there's no point in sticking them again if you lose. So if you want me to continue playing, then you have to change the bet. If you lose, take it off. How about some clothes? Chapter 204. Where is such a big master like me? The flood hits the fourth day, after Xialuo spent a pleasant night with Shen Miao and Qin Yumi at Longting Villa. He teleported over to Josiah Tong early in the morning. When Xialuo came over, Josiah Tong and Xiaomin just got up and came out of the bedroom. Josiah Tong was wearing a red silk pajamas, and Xiaomin was wearing a purple one. Although the two women had just gotten up and had not yet dressed up, their lazy looks were still so beautiful. Fortunately, Xialuo put out the fire at Longting Villa yesterday. Otherwise, when he came here this morning, he would have seen such temptations and would have had to eat raw GMO again. Boss, why did you come here so early today, Joe? Xiaotong was stunned when she saw Xialuo. Usually, if Xialuo stayed there overnight, he would rarely come over so early. After all, they have been living with Xialuo for several months, so they still don't know his habits. He is full of energy and lively every day, and no matter who is with him at night, he will be tortured for a long time. Then the next day, Xialuo paid attention to sleeping until he woke up naturally. I usually get up late. According to Xialuo, it's already the end of the world. Who still sets the alarm clock to clock in every day? Xialuo looked at Josiah Tong and said, nothing happened here yesterday, right? What happened? Josiah Tong asked in confusion. It seems that nothing happened? Which aspect do you mean, Li? Xialuo said, are there any outside survivors coming to our building to cause trouble? Then, Xialuo briefly talked about what happened at Longting Villa yesterday. After listening to what Xialuo said, Josiah Tong and Xiaomin also knew that they would never be as stable as before. However, Josiah Tong still smiled and said, it was okay here yesterday, and no foreign survivors broke into our building. In fact, even if there were survivors here who wanted to invade yesterday, it had nothing to do with Josiah Tong and the others anyway. They must be absolutely safe if they live in the Lord's mansion. As for whether the women downstairs are in danger, it depends on them. Xialuo nodded, indicating that he understood. Josiah Tong and the others smiled at Xialuo, and then quickly went to wash up. Xialuo walked to the window and looked at the water world downstairs. Since several waves of foreign survivors came to Longting Villa yesterday, Wutangidong community should not be too stable from now on. Not only survivors from the community will appear, but survivors from other places will also appear if there was still an ice disaster. And there were only survivors within Wutangidong community, then basically no one would provoke Xialuo, because there are only 5 residential buildings in Wutangidong community. Xialuo occupied 2 buildings, A and B. As for the other 3-story buildings, it was also because there were people who escaped from Xialuo's building. So the survivors in those buildings basically knew about Xialuo's existence. I also knew that Xialuo had a gun and was not easy to provoke, so I never came to Xialuo to cause trouble again. But things are different now. The ice disaster is over and the outside has become a water world, and now that the heavy rain has stopped, the survivors who are still alive outside, whether it is to find a place to stay or to search for food, will definitely go out for activities. Survivors can go anywhere they want as long as they have a vehicle that can travel on water. There are no regional restrictions anymore. By then, in Xialuo's territory, Not only the survivors from the community will be able to come over, but survivors from the entire city and even other cities may appear. As for the survivors who came from other places, they naturally did not know about Taoyuan leader and would not be afraid of Li Xiaoluo. Therefore, there will definitely be a lot of trouble in Li Xiaoluo's territory in the future. But speaking of it, this place should be better than the one at Longding Villa. During the first stage of the ice disaster, the Longding Villa territory was actually much safer than the Wutuangyun community because during the ice disaster, the villas belonging to Li Xiaoluo over the Longding Villa and that area were Li Xiaoluo's territory, and basically no outside survivors could go there. But now, the situation seems to have been reversed. The current Wutuangyun community is safer. After all, in the area near Longding Villa, only the villas in Li Xiaoluo's territory have not been flooded. If there are any outside survivors at Longding Villa, they will basically cause trouble for Li Xiaoluo. Moreover, the territory at Longding Villa is relatively large, so it is naturally more troublesome to defend it. But things are different here in Wutuangyun community. There are more high-rise buildings nearby, so there are more high-rise buildings that have not been submerged. Even if some foreign survivor teams come by, then they will have more places to stay, and they may not just come to Li Xiaoluo to cause trouble. And here, Li Xiaoluo's current main territory is only Building A. If you want to defend a building, it is actually very simple, as long as some obstacles are piled up in the stairwell downstairs, and then the female soldiers guard the upstairs. Basically one man will be able to block all the enemies. Therefore, compared to the Longding Villa district, the defensive pressure on the Wutuangyun community is much smaller. In fact, this is also the reason why Li Xiaoluo was not in a hurry to occupy too much territory here during the ice disaster. Even Wutuangyun community has not been fully occupied. Originally, as long as Li Xiaoluo was willing, he was fully capable of clearing out the survivors in the entire Wutuangyun community during the ice disaster, making the entire community his territory. However, Li Xiaoluo knew that there would be floods later, so it was useless to occupy too much territory before. Instead, he needed to spread his hands to guard it. In that case, it would be better to just take the side of Building A first. Let the survivors compete for the sites of the other buildings after the flood is over. It won't be too late for Li Xiaoluo to really take over the land. In addition, even if the territory here has not been invaded by survivors yet. But just like at Longding Villa, the female soldier Li Xiaoluo from the security team here also has to teach them how to shoot. You should be prepared as you should be. But, because the defensive pressure here is much less, therefore, the control of guns and ammunition here is stricter than that at Longding Villa, except for occasional live fire training. Among the female soldiers in the security team, only Lin Mengxin can distribute bullets for the time being. While thinking about things, Li Xiaoluo stroked the hair of General and Korn lying at his feet. Speaking of which, after raising these two guys for several months, Li Xiaoluo also has some feelings for them, especially Korn, which is now considered a big contributor. Having given birth to 7 puppies in a litter, those 7 little generals are all very cute and tiger-headed. After petting the dog for a while, Li Xiaoluo had nothing to do, so he flew the drone to inspect the situation near his territory. However, when Li Charlotte's drone arrived at the Yunsong building that he used as a temporary warehouse, Li Charlotte was stunned. Then Li Xiaoluo thought, and the person disappeared. The general and Korn were both stunned. Where's my bandmaster? Chapter 205 Survivors who entered Yunsong building. Yunsong building. Before the end, this building was a high-end office building nearby and was also the tallest building nearby after the flood came. Because the Yunsong building was more than 50 stories high, it would not be completely submerged, and it also became a refuge that some nearby survivors wanted to go to. For example, some residential buildings originally only had 13 or 4 floors, but now the floors below the 10th floor have been flooded. Only the top floors have been lucky enough not to be flooded, but this time the flood came too quickly, and the water level rose quickly. Even if the heavy rain has stopped now, the water level seems to have stopped rising for the time being, but no one knows whether it will rise again in the future. So now many survivors want to find tall buildings. The higher the better, because we stay in the highest building. Even if the heavy rain continues later, the water level will continue to rise. But if you live in a high-rise building with dozens of floors, you don't have to worry about drowning, right? If dozens of high-rise buildings are submerged, then there may not be many places in this world that are safe. Therefore, as Yunsong building, the tallest building near Li Charlotte's territory, during the ice disaster, basically no survivors wanted to go there, because Yunsong building was an office building before the end of the world, and there were no supermarkets or convenience stores in it. But after the floods came, Yunsong Building became a holy place for survivors, just because it was the tallest building nearby, and just after the heavy rain stopped. Several survivors came outside Yunsong Building. There are 3 men in the group. Judging from the situation, they should be the survivors near Yunsong Building because the means of transportation they traveled was not a boat or a raft, but just a few large empty barrels tied together, relying on the buoyancy of the empty bucket. They waded in the water and arrived at Yunsong Building at this time. The water level of Yunsong Building just reached the window on the 9th floor. Several men took iron rods and smashed the window glass on the 9th floor together, and then successfully entered the Yunsong Building. After a lot of trouble, the men who finally entered Yunsong Building looked excited. A young man in sportswear laughed and said, "Haha, we succeeded. We finally arrived at Yunsong Building. Even if it rains heavily later, we are not afraid of being drowned." A young man with a flat head also said happily, "Hey, those cowards in the hotel still looked down on us and bet that there was no way we could successfully enter Yunsong Building. Now they have nothing to say, right, then." The flat-headed young man continued, "Let's go to the roof of Yunsong Building quickly." The young man in sportswear echoed, "Okay, let's go. When we get to the top floor, we will light a fire and smoke out the smoke as agreed. That way people inside the hotel will definitely see it." This group of people had stayed in a 5-star hotel near Yunsong Building. The hotel was called Huashan Hotel. The hotel was 12 floors high. However, after the flood came, the 10 floors below the Huashan Hotel had been flooded, and only the 11th and 12th floors at the top had not yet been flooded. So after the heavy rain stopped, some of the survivors in the Huashan Hotel proposed to change places quickly. After all, the hotel is already in danger. Maybe it will be completely flooded in another heavy rain. However, there is no water transportation in Huashan Hotel, so it is quite dangerous to travel in the water world. Therefore, there are also some survivors in the Huashan Hotel who do not want to go out to take risks and want to continue to live in the hotel with a sense of luck. However, in the end, the majority of people agreed to leave the hotel, so the survivors of the Huashan Hotel made a simple floating boat using some empty barrels, and then targeted the Yunsong Building because Yunsong Building is the tallest building nearby. Even if other buildings are flooded, Yunsong Building will not be flooded. They might as well just do it in one go, and if it were before the end of the world, Yunsong Building would actually be some distance away from Huashan Hotel, but now it's a water world outside, so just go in a straight line wherever you go. The straight line distance between Huashan Hotel and Yunsong Building is actually not too far, only about 1,000 meters. This distance still gives many survivors the confidence to give it a try. Then the 3 of them, the flat-headed young man, were sent over to serve as vanguards. In fact, they are cannon fodder. The main purpose is to let them try to see if there is any danger in the water, whether their floating boat can allow them to reach Yunsong Building, and then whether Yunsong Building is occupied by other survivors. If the 3 of them can arrive successfully and enter Yunsong Building, they will have to find a way to create thick smoke on the roof of Yunsong Building. In this way, the survivors who stayed at the Huashan Hotel knew that they had succeeded when they saw the thick smoke will come and meet up when the time comes. Seeing the impatient young man with a crew cut and a young man in sportswear, the man with glasses who had been silent among the 3 said in a deep voice, "Big head, chicken legs, don't be anxious yet." Big head and chicken legs are nicknames for young people in sportswear and flat-headed youths respectively. One is because the head is bigger, and the other is because they used to sell grilled chicken legs at a street stall. The man with glasses is named Liu Jianwei. Datao looked at Liu Jianwei and said, "Viagra, what's wrong? If we enter Yunsong Building safely, should we notify the people at the hotel as soon as possible?" But before Liu Jianwei could speak, the man nicknamed Chicken Legs said, "Viagra, do you have any ideas?" Liu Jianwei looked at the Chicken Legs and smiled lightly. "Why, do you really have no ideas? Do you always want to be bullied by those hotel employees? And it's no longer the extreme low temperature it used to be. Are you not tempted by the beautiful celebrities in the hotel?" Hearing what Liu Jianwei said, the man who called him Chicken Legs laughed. Even the man named Big Head showed strong possessiveness in his eyes, not excited. "What nonsense." In the Huashan Hotel before the apocalypse, there was a film crew trapped inside. There were several popular actresses before the apocalypse in the crew that was the object of their lust countless times before the end of the world during the ice disaster. Because they were trapped in the same hotel as those beautiful celebrities, they couldn't even mention how excited they were. If only they could kiss fangs, they would be willing to die. So how could you not be moved? Even during the ice disaster, They saw on the internet that order had collapsed in other places, and many survivors had become either Earth Emperors or CAO thieves. They were extremely envious. I even want to go crazy before I die. If I can play with the goddess I have fantasized about countless times, then death will be worth it. It is a pity that at the time of the ice disaster, the food in Huashan Hotel was still sufficient and the order was relatively stable, and after the apocalypse, the hotel's right to speak is basically in the hands of those hotel employees, so don't say that they have no reason to go dark. Even if they want to go dark, they don't have the strength. Otherwise, the cannon fodder selected this time would not be them. In fact, they must be angry at being treated as cannon fodder. It's just that they didn't dare to show it when they were at Huashan Hotel. Now I heard that Liu Jianwei had other ideas. The other two men naturally looked at Liu Jianwei with burning eyes, waiting for his next words. Chapter 206. Don't ask me, I'm confused now too. Liu Jianwei slowly said, Big head, chicken legs, the three of us have the best relationship, so if I have something to say, I'll just say it. When we were at the Huashan Hotel before, the employees of the original hotel were often irritating to us and always gave us less food, but at that time, the food and accommodation were all owned by the hotel. Although we were annoyed by them, there was nothing we could do about them. As the saying goes, people will be punished if they don't do it for themselves. Huashan Hotel is their territory, and they will definitely treat their own people better. After the floods come, what we survivors need most is a shelter that will not be flooded. In fact, we all understand this truth, but when they heard that someone needed to venture out to explore the road, why did they send the three of us out to take the risk? Because the hotel management treats us as fools and wants us to be used as cannon fodder so they can enjoy the benefits, and when we are on other people's territory, we have to obey and do as we are told. But now, we came to occupy this Yansong building first, and it should be our territory from now on. Everything in this building, including supplies, should belong to us. Yes. When we were at the Huashan Hotel, we were very angry with the hotel employees. They also forced us to go out to explore the way. Now we arrived at the building first. Why should we listen to those bastards? Viagra, just tell me directly, what do you want to do? Both Big Head and Chicken Leg were also aroused by Liu Jianwei. Liu Jianwei said coldly, what we have to do now is very simple, that is, without notifying the people at the hotel. Let's search inside Yansong building first, and then collect and hide all the food. We will be the owners of this building from now on. When we notify the people at the hotel to come over, the three of us will be stronger. If those people in the hotel want to enter this building to escape the flood, they must listen to us in the future, otherwise we have the right not to let them in. Datao smiled and said, Viagra, I think it will work, so I will do as you say. Chicken Leg chuckled and said, Viagra, I think if the people from the hotel come over, we can let those women in first. As for those men, just do as you said. Only after they express their loyalty to us will they be eligible to enter Yansong building. Okay, Liu Jianwei and the three of them had discussed everything, and everyone was immediately excited. Let's go. Let's do a general search of this Yansong building to see how much food is in this building. Only then can we make a better plan for the next step. Although Yansong building was an office building before its end, there were no shops, but Liu Jianwei and the others believe that there will definitely be some food in this building. After all, before the end of the world, most of the people working in companies were girls, and there are no girls who don't hide snacks. Moreover, some companies with good welfare benefits will also provide employees with lunch or afternoon tea, so some companies will also purchase a lot of food. Just do it. Liu Jianwei and the others started searching from the 10th floor. The 10th floor was a company called Feian Technology Company, Limited. It seemed that it was an internet company before the end. Then Liu Jianwei and the others searched the company and found a total of 10 boxes of mineral water, 3 boxes of instant noodles, 2 boxes of nuts, as well as biscuits, snacks, drinks, etc. Just put a big bag in a plastic bag. Looking at these harvests, Liu Jianwei and most of the others were very excited. So much food was found on this floor alone, and there are dozens of floors above. How much food can we find then? It's beautiful to think about. Then the three of them continued upstairs without any hurry. They first picked some food and drinks that they liked, and then ate and drank in large gulps. Although they can survive until now, it does not mean that they are not hungry. In fact, when we were at the Huashan Hotel, the food was quite plentiful at first, and there were basically no restrictions on everyone. But as time passed and there was no sign of the end of the apocalypse, the hotel began to implement food control. And when I was at Huashan Hotel before, they were still one of the worst people I have ever experienced. The daily food is only some porridge, and it depends on other people's faces. If you eat more, you will be scolded. Like now, all the food is theirs and they can eat as much as they want. The three of them didn't plan to continue searching upstairs until they were full, but when Liu Jianwei, Datao and the others came to the stairwell, they were stunned, because the stairwell is blocked by a pile of debris. Office desks, coffee tables, cabinets, etc., almost filled the stairwell. Datao was dumbfounded. Oh my god, what's going on? Who is so wicked? The stairs are blocked. Chicken Leg was even more troubled and said, Viagra, you said we won't be late, right? There won't be other survivors upstairs in this building, right? They blocked the stairwell, just to prevent others from going upstairs. Liu Jianwei was dumbfounded for a while, and then said, don't ask me, I'm confused now too. Liu Jianwei is really confused now because he doesn't know what the situation is now. In fact, in their Huashan hotel, men and women live on separate floors. In order to prevent the men downstairs from acting like gangsters, the women often block the stairways, but it's not as perverted as here. Looking at the stairwell in front of me, it has basically been blocked without any gaps, and they use very heavy things like desks and cabinets. This is simply a huge workload, so to be able to do this, first of all, it requires a lot of people, and it also takes a lot of time. This means that during the ice disaster, people in this building were busy blocking the stairs, and this is where Liu Jianwei is confused. If it had been so blocked at that time, although he could resist others from going upstairs, he was completely blocked in this building. Moreover, at the time of the ice disaster, it was almost impossible for survivors to go out for activities. Did the people in this building need to block the stairs like this? How bored they are, doing such a thankless thing. Moreover, he is so stupid, blocking his own escape route, of course. More importantly, how can they occupy this building with such a blockage? But soon, Liu Jianwei had another good idea. Big head, chicken legs, let's not take the stairs. Let's find a way to climb up from the outside of the building and have a look. Anyway, there is a water world downstairs. Even if you accidentally fall down the stairs, you will still fall into the water, and you will definitely not die. Okay, Viagra, we'll do it with you. Datao's eyes lit up and he agreed. Chicken Leg also agreed. Okay, let's climb up and see who is so cruel that he blocked the stairs like this. You don't need to bother, I'm already here. Li Xiaoluo's voice suddenly sounded, and then he appeared in front of Liu Jianwei and others. Chapter 207 Just Appreciation. Seeing the sudden appearance of Li Xiaoluo, Liu Jianwei and others were startled. Some people even rubbed their eyes vigorously. I want to see if I am hallucinating. However, Li Xiaoluo is still standing there alive. It's like it appeared out of thin air. You, who are you? Why did you appear out of nowhere? Brother, are you a human or a ghost? Li Xiaoluo was originally petting the dog at home, and when he used the drone to patrol the territory, he happened to see Liu Jianwei and three people entering Yunsong Building. Yunsong Building is Li Xiaoluo's temporary warehouse. Thousands of tons of his materials are still hidden in this building. Therefore, Li Xiaoluo would naturally not let anyone set foot in Yunsong Building. Originally, during the previous ice disaster, even if there were survivors who came to Yunsong Building, Li Xiaoluo blocked the stairs on the 10th and 11th floors of Yunsong Building so airtight that ordinary survivors could not go upstairs at all. But now it is a water world, and the outside of the building is full of water. There is no need for survivors to take the stairs. They can climb upstairs from the wall outside the building, and the few survivors who came this time seem to be preparing to do the same. So Li Xiaoluo, who was petting the dog at home, teleported directly and then came to Yunsong Building. Li Xiaoluo did not answer their questions, but looked at Liu Jianwei and others and said, "Where are you from? Do you have any accomplices?" At this time, Liu Jianwei and the other three also regained their composure a little after hearing Li Xiaoluo's inquiry. They were even more certain that Li Xiaoluo should be a human being and not a ghost. As long as it's not ghosts, then what do they have to fear? There is only one person named Li Xiaoluo. Then, recalling what Li Xiaoluo said when he first appeared, Liu Jianwei spoke first. "Brother, are you the one who blocked this staircase? Are you the person upstairs in Yunsong Building?" Li Xiaoluo nodded and said impatiently, "My patience is limited. Answer the question I just asked." Liu Jianwei said with some dissatisfaction, "Brother, are you going too far? We are not your subordinates, so why do we have to answer your questions? If you want to know something, at least be polite." FK, Just don't think that we will be afraid of you just because you are pretending to be a ghost. There are 3 of us and you are the only one. You are so arrogant and domineering." Big Tao also looked at Li Xiaoluo with an angry face and said angrily, on the other hand, the man named Chicken Legs was too honest to say anything at this time because he was really timid, and what happened just now was really weird. Li Xiaoluo was too lazy to talk nonsense. He came to the man named Big Head very quickly. Snap! Li Xiaoluo raised his hand and slapped him hard in the face. Li Xiaoluo's body has been strengthened, so even if he doesn't use his powers, his speed and strength are very powerful. Li Xiaoluo's slap was so powerful that it knocked Tao down and his teeth were all knocked out. In the past, Li Xiaoluo basically used guns to deal with enemies, and rarely used fists and kicks in close combat, but this time, Li Xiaoluo didn't plan to use a gun. After all, he hadn't moved his hands and feet for a long time. Of course, Li Xiaoluo actually used the drone to see clearly before he showed up. These men did not bring any weapons at all, so they did not pose any threat to him. When Liu Jianwei saw that Li Xiaoluo suddenly revealed that he was hurting someone, he immediately became angry. Of course, the reason why he was angry was actually fear, because Li Xiaoluo's force value seems to be very high and unreasonable. It seems that I can't be kinder today, so they must strike first, otherwise they may not end well. You dare to hit someone? Chicken Legs, let's go together, we have to fight with him today. After speaking, Liu Jianwei took the lead and rushed towards Li Xiaoluo. In Liu Jianwei's view, the Li Xiaoluo in front of him was indeed more skilled than them, but they say 2 fists are hard to beat with 4 hands, so as long as he and Chicken Legs fight together, there might still be a chance. No matter what, it's better than being dealt with by Li Xiaoluo one by one. But Liu Jianwei didn't notice that when he rushed towards Li Xiaoluo, the drumstick he called did not move, and there was deep fear on his face. Seeing Liu Jianwei rushing towards him, Li Xiaoluo did not make any extra moves. Instead, he took the initiative to meet him and kicked him out. Bang! Li Xiaoluo's kick was fast, hard, and powerful. Under the powerful impact, Liu Jianwei's body was directly kicked out, then hit the wall hard, and then fell to the ground. Liu Jianwei let out a scream. He felt that his waist was broken by the kick, and his whole body seemed to fall apart. Tao quickly ran towards Liu Jianwei. Looking at Liu Jianwei lying motionless on the ground, he shouted in a panic, "Hey Jen, what are you doing?" Because he had a few teeth knocked out, he was having trouble speaking now. Liu Jianwei lay on the ground and groaned, as if to say he was still alive, the only chicken leg that was still intact. After seeing the misery of his 2 companions, his first time was not to see Liu Jianwei's injury, nor to fight for Li Xiaoluo. He made a plop and knelt down towards Li Xiaoluo. "Brother, I surrender, please don't hit me. I'll tell you whatever you want to know." So cruel. They were simply 100 times more brutal than the security guards at the Huashan hotel where they stayed, so after 2 companions tested the waters, he now has no intention of resisting at all. He who knows the current affairs is a hero. This is the way Chicken Legs has always behaved himself, otherwise, he wouldn't have had to compromise when he was at the Huashan hotel. As for the behavior of Liu Jianwei and Tao, he said that he admired their bravery ideologically. Li Xiaoluo looked at the man kneeling on the ground and said expressionlessly, "Then tell me, where are you from, and how many accomplices do you have?" Chicken Leg quickly replied, "Okay, big brother, I'll tell you everything." Then he quickly told where he came from, the purpose of coming here, and how many people were there in their hotel. Everything was told to Li Xiaoluo in detail. Huashan Hotel, there are dozens of survivors trapped in the hotel, and how many popular female stars are there? Li Xiaoluo of Huashan Hotel naturally knew that it was not far from his community before the end of the world. Therefore, Li Xiaoluo was not surprised that the survivors of Huashan Hotel wanted to come over and occupy Yunsong Building. After all, Yunsong Building was a landmark building nearby. What interested Li Xiaoluo more was the actresses mentioned by men. To be honest, Li Xiaoluo didn't expect them to be here. Charlotte Li is not actually very star-chasing, but they are also the actresses that Charlotte Li fantasizes about before the end of the world, and admires them. Well, it's just a matter of appreciation. She is so beautiful after all. Chapter 208 Huashan Hotel. In Huashan Hotel, this luxuriously decorated hotel before the apocalypse is now even submerged in water. Only the top 2 floors are still exposed above the water. At this time, there were as many as 70 or 80 survivors in the hotel. After all, as a 5-star hotel, there will naturally be no shortage of food inside. And even in summer, there is no shortage of warm materials such as thick quilts in the hotel. Therefore, during the previous months of the ice disaster, all the survivors in the Huashan Hotel, except for some elderly and weak survivors, died of illness. But most of the survivors in Huashan Hotel basically survived even compared to the survivors outside. The survivors in Huashan Hotel generally have a much better life. At least the hotel has food, drink, accommodation, and supplies to keep out the cold. And because there are so many people and small groups, there is no dictator in the hotel, and everyone gets along relatively harmoniously. However, since the floods came, the atmosphere inside Huashan Hotel has become increasingly weird. First of all, because the flood has now flooded most floors of the hotel, every survivor is living in worry and fear. They were afraid that when they went to bed at night, there would suddenly be a heavy rain, and they might be drowned in their sleep. Therefore, people who are afraid will become irritable in daily life, and conflicts will naturally increase. Secondly, at this time, only the 11th and 12th floors of the entire Huashan Hotel were not flooded. Then all male survivors live on the 11th floor, and all female survivors live on the 12th floor, but the number of rooms on the 2 floors is definitely limited. Naturally, everyone can no longer have their own separate room as before. Now they need many people to live together. When multiple people live together, conflicts will naturally arise. Finally, the current water level has flooded the 10th floor, and there is even water on the floor of the 11th floor, so living on the 11th floor is naturally not as safe as living on the 12th floor. After all, if the water level continues to rise, the first person to be submerged will definitely be the 11th floor, and the people on the 11th floor will definitely be drowned. But the women in the hotel occupied the 12th floor, saying they wanted to avoid being harassed by men. Why? Just because they are women. Do they have big breasts? So since the end of the ice disaster, the atmosphere in Huashan Hotel has become increasingly tense. There are conflicts between small groups. There are also conflicts between men and women. At this time, a dozen men were gathering together in a presidential suite on the 11th floor of Huashan Hotel. The dozen men in this room are actually the security guards and waiters of the Huashan Hotel. Before the end, in the past, everyone had always listened to Song Zijin, the general manager of the hotel. After all, before the end, Song Zijin was the local emperor of this hotel, and he was still very prestigious. But in the final analysis, after the end of the world, the order will collapse, and everything before the end will become a thing of the past. Money and power before the apocalypse will have no effect. After the apocalypse, everything has returned to its original state. Whoever has a bigger fist will naturally have more say-so. At the beginning of the apocalypse, everyone still listened to Mr. Song's words. After all, their boss Song did not treat them badly and made all the hotel employees live better than those celebrities. They still have a sense of superiority in their hearts, but that doesn't mean that everyone is willing to continue to be managed by Song Zijin honestly. Among them was Zhao Yulin, the hotel's security captain. In fact, Zhao Yulin has always had some ideas in his mind, but he has never found a suitable opportunity to jump out and cause trouble. He can only secretly recruit people. But after the ice disaster ended and then the flood came, Zhao Yulin felt that his opportunity had come because there was very little food on the hotel at this time, and the hotel was in danger of being flooded at any time, so everyone is living in fear. In addition, now that the temperature has risen, many men now have thoughts that they did not have before. For example, thinking about women, especially in this hotel. There are several well-known female celebrities, and many men have already been interested in them. However, Mr. Song had been suppressing them before, and no one dared to take action. At most, they only teased them verbally. Food, life and death, women. Taking advantage of everyone's growing dissatisfaction with Song Zijin today, while reporting to Song Zijin, Zhao Yulin stabbed Song Zijin to death with a knife. Then Zhao Yulin now summons everyone in the group to establish his authority. At this time, there were blood stains all over the floor in the room. A middle-aged man in his 40s was lying on the ground covered in blood. The middle-aged man lying on the ground is Song Zijin, the general manager of Huashan Hotel, and the person in charge of Huashan Hotel after the apocalypse. Zhao Yulin, the security captain who killed Song Zijin, looked at everyone in the room with cold eyes while licking the blood on the bayonet in his hand. Brothers, our idiot Mr. Song won't feed us, won't let us touch those women, and drinks us 5 or 6 times a day. I've had enough of him for a long time. Now that I've dealt with him, you haven't. What's your opinion, Captain? I have long disliked idiot Song. Forget about him showing off his power to us before the end. How long has it been since this happened? He always shows off to us. I have long wanted to deal with him. Yes, Captain, we were your soldiers before, and we will definitely support you now. We will do whatever you ask us to do from now on. Several subordinates arranged by Zhao Yulin first stood up and expressed their loyalty to Zhao Yulin. Although there may be people who are still loyal to Song Zijin, Song Zijin is dead now, and Zhao Yulin is as perverted as a devil. Plus someone takes the lead to take a stand. Suddenly no one dared to say anything, and everyone expressed their loyalty. Captain Zhao, I have no objection. I will listen to you in the future. In fact, I have long realized that in this apocalypse, people like you, Captain Zhao, should be our leader. Yes, I think so too. Captain Zhao, you managed the security of our hotel so well before and kept our hotel safe. Now that Captain Zhao has become our leader, you will definitely be able to keep us safe in this apocalypse of Captain Zhao. From now on we will all follow your lead. Haha. Zhao Yulin laughed loudly, feeling very grateful for everyone's flattery. After laughing, Zhao Yulin looked at everyone in the room and said, brothers, that idiot Song Zijin wants to be the Holy Mother, but I don't want to be. Anyway, there is no order now. What kind of bullshit laws do we still obey? Before we move to a safe place, how about we have a carnival in the hotel first? Those women upstairs, you can have fun then. Long live Captain Zhao. In fact we should have been like this a long time ago. Hey hey. Chapter 209. Enjoy the show while eating. Zhao Yulin looked at the excited crowd and felt proud in his heart. He knew that Song Zijin had been the local emperor of this hotel for so long, so there must be some people who are loyal to him, but a prerequisite is that Song Zijin is still alive. Otherwise, since this is not an ancient feudal society, who would be loyal to a dead man? Then he let everyone see the benefits of following him, and Zhao Yulin didn't believe it. They would still think about the dead Song Zijin. Zhao Yulin waved his hand to calm down the excited people. Then he slowly said, brothers, if we want to play with a woman upstairs, we need to do one more thing. Captain, tell me, we will listen to you no matter what you ask us to do. The same goes for me. Living right now is a torment anyway. As long as I can play with my goddess upstairs once, I'm willing to die. Captain, just give the order. Zhao Yulin nodded with satisfaction and said, brothers, wasn't our President Song attracted by the beauties upstairs? I think you also know what kind of person our President Song was before the end. He was an old pervert. Yes, he plays with women a lot, but the reason why he doesn't dare to do it is because we are not the only ones in this hotel. Those other men have been under our control, and they may have had resentment in their hearts. It's just that they haven't united, or they have no reason to unite to resist us, but as long as we dare to bully women upstairs, they will definitely unite and attack us. Everyone listened quietly to Zhao Yulin's words and nodded in their hearts, because Zhao Yulin told the truth. In fact, after learning that the government was paralyzed, it can be said that most of the men in the hotel have developed new ideas. After all, who made the women in their hotel so damn attractive? It can be said that every man wants to kiss fangs. However, during the ice disaster, the extreme low temperature still extinguished the desires of most of their men, but now that the temperature has risen, many men feel even more lonely and unbearable at night, as if they have grown hairy in their hearts. But before, Huashan Hotel was still very harmonious and orderly on the surface, so no one dared to stand out, even Song Zijin. The previous owner of the hotel, who was nominally the most powerful person in Huashan Hotel, coveted some of the women upstairs, but he didn't dare to go too far because as long as he dares to offend the public, it will give others an excuse to overthrow him. When Zhao Yulin finished speaking, although he did not clearly say what he wanted to do, everyone actually understood it. Captain, do you mean that before we go upstairs, we must subdue the other men downstairs? Captain, although we understand what you mean, if we really want to take action, we don't have the manpower advantage, and we may not be able to get a deal by then. Yes, Captain, if we could take care of them, Song Zijin would have taken us to take care of them. Zhao Yulin said coldly. Huh? Just because Song Zijin can't do it, it doesn't mean that I can't do it. As long as we people unite and are ruthless enough, we will first find the few small groups that pose the greatest threat, and then we will suddenly attack and kill them all. As long as those few thorny groups are dealt with, if anyone still disobeys us, we will kill all the disobedient people. The reason why Huashan Hotel is relatively harmonious and women are not harmed is actually because everyone checks and balances each other. For example, there are about 50 or 60 men living on the 11th floor. Then these 50 or 60 people were divided into several small groups. For example, the members of this small group headed by former Song Zijin are basically employees of the former hotel. There is also a film crew staying in the hotel, so they are naturally a mixed group. Finally, There are the ordinary guests staying in the hotel. In order to protect themselves, many of them spontaneously formed a small group. Moreover, many people are bringing their families with them, and their wives are upstairs because after the floods came, there were not enough hotel rooms. That's why men and women must live separately. But if someone dares to go upstairs and tease their wife, then they will definitely fight to the death. So when Zhao Yulin talked about dealing with several troublesome groups, he was actually referring to the crew and the men with wives upstairs because they have the closest relationship with the woman upstairs. Everyone thought about it, and if they suddenly launched an attack, and then split them up and defeated them one by one. They seemed to be really sure that they could deal with those people just like their Mr. Song, who knew Zhao Yulin would kill him suddenly. By the time I reacted, it was already too late, but this time, Zhao Yulin wants to kill more people, and it really pulls them into the water. How about it, everyone? Let's make a statement. Who is willing to follow me? I would like to say one more thing here. The reason why we have to kill all the men who disobey us is not only for the women upstairs, but also for food, in order to survive the food we have left now. As originally there are very few people, if we can reduce the number of people, we will be able to persist longer, right? Seeing Zhao Yulin holding a knife, he had cold eyes. Many people knew in their hearts that if anyone said they were unwilling to follow him, Zhao Yulin might kill them first. Therefore, friends who die as Taoists should not die as poor Taoists, and Zhao Yulin's bewitchment really made their hearts flutter. Their conscience has become less and less in these last days. Captain, I'm with you, and Captain, I can kill whoever you say, as long as you can let me go upstairs to have fun when the time comes. Zhao Yulin looked at everyone's expressions, nodded with satisfaction, and then waved his hand. Come here, distribute weapons to everyone. We will start taking action soon. Yes, Captain. Zhao Yulin's two henchmen responded, then walked into a room and quickly came out with a pile of weapons. Seeing this scene, everyone immediately understood that Zhao Yulin had been preparing for a long time. What Zhao Yulin didn't know was that a speedboat came to the water outside Huashan Hotel at this time. The person driving the speedboat was Li Xiaoluo. Originally, Huashan Hotel was not too far from Yunsong Building. Li Xiaoluo could easily reach Huashan Hotel by teleporting 2 or 3 times. However, Li Xiaoluo's teleportation ability is only at level 1 now. Now he can only teleport about 5 times a day over short distances, and if you teleport too many times in succession, it will take time to recover and there will be a period of weakness. That's why Li Xiaoluo didn't take a shortcut and use teleportation. Instead, he took out the speedboat he had prepared for floods before the end, and drove the speedboat directly to the vicinity of Huashan Hotel. Then through the drone, Li Xiaoluo saw what was happening inside the Huashan Hotel. It's interesting. It seems that Huashan Hotel is putting on a good show. Li Xiaoluo was not in a hurry anyway, so he did not enter the hotel immediately. Instead, he turned off the speedboat, took out some cooked food and beer from the system space, and sat on the speedboat to eat while enjoying the show. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210. They have also completely gone dark. At this time, in the Huashan Hotel, Zhao Yulin and his group naturally did not know that their every move was being watched by others, and they even regarded them as entertainment. After Zhao Yulin asked his confidants to distribute weapons to everyone, he then began to lay out specific action plans among the small groups on the 11th floor of the hotel. Apart from the small group of hotel employees, the strongest group must be the film crew. After all, the people in that crew were familiar with each other before the apocalypse, and naturally they would stick together to avoid being bullied after the apocalypse. And if you want to get involved with the actresses upstairs, then the crew downstairs will naturally be the ones you have to deal with. So Zhao Yulin and the others were determined to be their first target. Everyone wear a coat later, and then hide the weapons inside the coat so that no one finds it. Then, Xiao Li, aren't you responsible for distributing food to everyone? Later, you go to deliver food to the crew as usual. After you knock on the door of the room where the crew lives, block the door, and then I will lead an ambush. Alright, brothers, rush in together. Everyone, remember this. After we rush in, please don't hesitate or talk nonsense. We don't need to kill the people on that crew alive. I'll kill them all. Copy that, Captain. Receive. The men in the room responded, but it could be heard that there was a hint of excitement in their voices at this time. After all, When we lived in peaceful times, many people didn't even kill chickens or ducks. Even after the apocalypse, no murder has ever occurred in this hotel. Now suddenly let them go directly to kill people. Of course, some people will be excited and some will be nervous. Some people actually find it difficult to accept it, but the current situation no longer allows them to be unwilling. Under the coercion and instigation of Zhao Yulin and his close confidants, whoever comes out to sing the opposite will definitely be the first to be punished. After everything is ready, according to the plan, Zhao Yulin led his men to ambush at the corner of the hotel corridor, and then asked Xiaoli, who was previously responsible for delivering food to everyone, to knock on the door of the room where the crew lived, although the people in the room were more cautious. After seeing familiar people outside the door through the peephole, they naturally thought that it was time to distribute food again as usual, so he opened the guest room door without warning. Right. Now, rush to me. Once you enter, close the door to the room and kill everyone inside. Try not to make too much noise. Zhao Yulin, who was ambushing around the corner, gave an order in a low voice, and then took the lead and rushed towards the room quickly. Others naturally hurried to follow, and at this time, they finally felt a little excited. Captain Zhao, what do you mean? After Zhao Yulin entered the room with all his men and closed the door from the inside, the people in the room had not yet realized the seriousness of the matter. A well-known director before the end of the world looked at the people who suddenly rushed in like robbers, and suddenly looked at Zhao Yulin with a gloomy face. Kill them all. Then you can play with the women upstairs as you like. Zhao Yulin didn't waste any time. He took out a machete hidden in his clothes and took the lead in slashing at a man on the crew. Zhao Yulin is not here to negotiate. Now that he has reached this point, he must not let this group that threatens him exist anymore. Kill them. Under the leadership of Zhao Yulin, other men were also inspired to become ferocious. Then they all took out the weapons hidden on their bodies and started killing the crew members. In fact, the number of people in the crew is not less than the employees in the hotel, and there are even a little more in number. But they never thought there would be a fight, and they killed people directly. Therefore, without weapons in their hands, they were subconsciously afraid and did not dare to resist. Captain Zhao, I want to see you, Mr. Song. You are breaking the rules set by us all. Don't kill me. I surrender. I surrender too. At an absolute disadvantage, most of the men in the crew immediately wanted to surrender, but as soon as a man knelt down, he was slashed in the neck by Zhao Yulin. Immediately blood splattered everywhere, and the chopped man fell in a pool of blood and pain. Not only did Zhao Yulin ignore the people who surrendered, but his subordinates had also been told by him long ago, the people here are not to be taken prisoner. They must all be killed. And looking at these men kneeling on the ground, they were all frightened like grandchildren, and could only let them slaughter them. This feeling of being able to control the life and death of others immediately made many people feel great satisfaction. They have also completely gone dark. Haha. Go to hell for me. Let me serve you before. Oh, isn't this relaxing? Do you still remember the first day you came to the hotel? Just because I was a little slow to press the elevator button for you, you called me a loser and a watchdog. Aren't you very? Do you look down on me, a loser? Why are you kneeling down to me now? Unfortunately, it's useless for you to kneel down for me now. Just go to hell. Kill them. Some people like Zhao Yulin only pick and kill people they have a quarrel with, and some just kill everyone they see. As for those who kneel down and want to surrender, they will pretend they are invisible. FK, they are all crazy. They won't let us go. Everyone resist. We will fight them. No matter how hard you try, you will have someone to support you even if you die. The crew saw that people like Zhao Yulin were extremely crazy. They had no intention of negotiating and did not accept their surrender. They just kept killing people. Suddenly, many people burst out with pride and began to resist desperately. Unfortunately, Zhao Yulin and the others were making a surprise attack this time, so the people in this room had no preparation at all, especially no weapons. Let them fight with their bare hands against someone with a machete. What chance would they have of winning? There were constant screams in the room, but it didn't take long for everything to calm down. The whole room was filled with blood, and there were corpses everywhere on the ground, some of which had even been chopped to a bloody pulp. Haha, brothers, we have won. We have killed everyone in their crew. The remaining survivors can no longer pose much of a threat to us. Our good days are coming. Looking at his results in the room, Zhao Yulin, who was covered in blood, laughed happily. He really loves this apocalypse. Before the apocalypse, he was just a little security guard that everyone looked down upon, but later he wants the social elites and rich people before the end to become eunuchs who serve him. He wants all the popular actresses and wealthy ladies to become his slave girls. From now on, his words are the truth. Chapter 211. The woman on the 12th floor blocked the stairs. Brothers, let's continue our efforts later and go around all the rooms. Zhao Yulin said while looking at his subordinates. Captain, are you going to kill all the men on the 11th floor except us? Captain, isn't this a bit too much? The remaining men are no longer a threat, right? FK, what do you mean there is no threat? Let them share food and women with us. That is, they are not of the same mind as us. Some of the men are the husbands or relatives of the women upstairs. If you keep them, how dare you play with the women upstairs? FK, why don't I dare to play? If it were in front of their husband, I would be even more excited. Zhao Yulin's words seemed to ignite everyone's excitement and made the men in the room talk a lot. Everyone, be quiet. Zhao Yulin pressed his hands. After everyone calmed down, Zhao Yulin continued, brothers, let's go from room to room later. If anyone dares to push or resist, we will kill them all. If they are willing to obey us unconditionally, then we will not kill them yet. But here, I can promise brothers that from now on, every one of you will be my brother and my hero. So in the future, you will have a higher status than them, and your treatment will be better than them, and women will also be your priority. As for the men who come to us later, they are just our cannon fodder. From now on, we will leave all the hard, tiring, and dangerous work to them, and we can just enjoy it. After killing everyone in the room, the first step of Zhao Yulin's important task was actually completed, and it's also the most important step. After all, the small group that posed the greatest threat to them before was the crew. Now that everyone on the crew has been killed by them, there are still many male survivors on the 11th floor. But basically they are all in disarray, and it is difficult to complete the threat to them. And for Zhao Yulin, he didn't want to kill all the remaining men after all. It is the end of the world, there is no order anymore, and it is not the time of the ice disaster. There will be no outside survivors to disturb them in the future. They may need to change their refuge, or they may even need to drift around in the water world outside, so you will definitely encounter other survivors, and conflicts will naturally arise, and at that time, it is the time when there is more power than there are people. Therefore, after killing the biggest threat to the crew, Zhao Yulin did not intend to continue killing everyone next. Zhao Yulin plans to focus on recruiting people. Captain, we all listen to you. Hey, Captain, your idea is good. After listening to Zhao Yulin's words, most people naturally had no objections. After all, if those men were allowed to be slaves and cannon fodder, it would actually be a good thing for them. Otherwise, if there is no cannon fodder, if anything dangerous happens in the future, they will need to be at the forefront, so it's better to have cannon fodder. Thinking of the wonderful life in the future, some people are scared to death now. At this time, someone looked at Zhao Yulin and said with a smile, Captain, let's conquer them quickly. After we take care of them, we can go upstairs to play. Damn it, you're the only one who's anxious. Zhao Yulin looked at the man who was speaking and cursed with a smile, but he still gave the order to take action. After all, Zhao Yulin himself had already been itching for a long time. Everyone has been abstinent for several months, and they have long wanted to eat meat, especially the women upstairs, including popular actresses, beautiful ladies, innocent girls. There are almost all types, and many of them are quite beautiful. How can they, who are single before the apocalypse, remain calm? If it weren't for the men downstairs who had to deal with and control them, they would have rushed upstairs by now. So, Zhao Yulin and the others all changed out of their blood-stained clothes, and then continued to use the previous method of tricking the door into opening the door, starting from room to room. But what happened later was even smoother because the remaining survivors are basically scattered, and even because many unfamiliar people live together. There are usually a lot of conflicts. When Zhao Yulin suddenly rushed into their room with a dozen people armed with weapons, and then killed one or two talkative people, the others naturally knelt on the ground and surrendered. It only took more than 10 minutes for Zhao Yulin and his men to clean up the entire 11th floor. There were originally 60 survivors on the 11th floor, but after this turmoil, only 33 survived. This number of people was actually controlled intentionally by Zhao Yulin, because Zhao Yulin and his men have a total of 17 people. The number of cannon fodder he leaves behind must not be too many, at least not more than the number of people under his command. Let's go to the 12th floor to play with women. After completely taking control of the 11th floor, Zhao Yulin suddenly waved his hand with great enthusiasm, because Zhao Yulin knew why these men under him followed him in rebellion, and why they followed him everywhere to kill people. Because of his previous coercion and inducement. To put it bluntly, it's because of the woman upstairs. This is what Zhao Yulin promised them, so now they must fulfill their promise and let everyone see the benefits of following him, otherwise, who will work for him in the future? Long live Captain, I love you so much. I knew that following the captain would be the wisest choice for you. After the continuous killings just now, some of Zhao Yulin's men have now completely turned dark. They are also full of anger now, and they just want to vent. When Zhao Yulin led a group of men towards 12, they were all dumbfounded when they came to the stairwell. At this time, the stairwell leading to the 12th floor has been blocked. Beds, tables and chairs, computers, quilts, pillows, sexy underwear, in short, everything has been used, making it difficult to move forward, and you can still see women carrying objects upstairs and filing them into the stairwell. Beauty, what do you people upstairs mean? Why do you want to block the stairwell? When Zhao Yulin saw this situation, he immediately gave his men a wink to tell them not to talk nonsense, and then he shouted loudly to the woman upstairs, "What do you mean? Are you blind? Can't you see that we don't welcome you? That's it, get out of here, we are all women upstairs, you men are not welcome to come up." Zhao Yulin's face suddenly turned very ugly. He didn't know why these women suddenly went crazy. Didn't everyone get along well before? He originally thought he could go upstairs smoothly, but he didn't expect to be blocked downstairs. "Captain, among the men who surrendered in our team, aren't there 2 wives upstairs? Let them try shouting." A confidant suggested to Zhao Yulin. Zhao Yulin's eyes lit up. This is a good idea. Originally, Zhao Yulin planned to kill the 2 men who had wives. After all, he was afraid that keeping them would be a problem later, but several of his confidants interceded, saying that they liked to play with wives, especially in front of her. Zhao Yulin finally decided to satisfy the interests of his closest subordinates. After all, it's not a big deal, and it can still be exchanged for their absolute loyalty. I haven't thought about it now, maybe those 2 people left behind can really come in handy. Chapter 212 Sweetness. Zhao Yulin waved to the 2 people at the back of his team. "Wang Hai, Xiang Chuanjian, you 2 come here." Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian heard the summons and hurried to Zhao Yulin's side. "You know what to do, right? As long as you can get your wife to persuade the woman upstairs not to stop us, then both of you will have done a great job." Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian suddenly showed hesitation on their faces, and neither of them spoke. "Why, you don't want to?" Zhao Yulin said coldly. Xiang Chuanjian said solemnly, "Captain Zhao, if we have made a contribution, can you promise me that no one will touch my wife then?" Wang Hai also quickly said, "Captain Zhao, I mean the same thing. After all, men, no matter how deep their feelings are for their wives, even if they no longer have much interest in them, but I definitely don't want my wife to be played by other men and wear a big colored hat for me. Moreover, there may not only be one colored hat, but maybe even dozens of colored hats." So although the 2 of them are now full of fear of Zhao Yulin, they still have the courage to make this request. As for what happens to other women, that's not their concern. How can they still care about other people's lives at this time? Zhao Yulin looked at Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian with cold eyes. "Remember, you are all surrendered prisoners and you are not qualified to negotiate terms with me. If you don't agree, then I will cut off your balls first and turn you into eunuchs of the new century. Then, I will cut you into pieces with a knife." These words of Zhao Yulin are simply shuddering to Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian, 2 ordinary people who still think about the peaceful era before the apocalypse. Their eyes when looking at Zhao Yulin were full of fear. When Zhao Yulin saw the fear on the faces of the 2 people, he immediately struck while the iron was hot. "I'll give you one more chance. Think carefully before answering me. If you don't obey, you will be tortured by me. And if you obey well, although I may not guarantee that your wife will not be played by my men, I can guarantee that you will also have the opportunity to play with other beautiful women. You should know that those women upstairs are many stunning beauties, 100 times more beautiful than your yellow-faced woman. Aren't you tempted? So, it's up to you how you choose." After finishing speaking, Zhao Yulin stared straight at Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian, waiting for their answers. Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian both felt chills in their hearts. They knew that if they dared to say no, their end must be miserable. "But if you agree to Zhao Yulin, you will betray your wife and put a colored hat on yourself." Hesitated for a moment. "Captain Zhao, I listen to you." Under Zhao Yulin's cold eyes, Xiang Chuanjian became timid at first. "Captain Zhao, I also listened to you. Seeing that Xiang Chuanjian agreed first, Wang Hai naturally no longer had any psychological pressure. He could only say sorry to his wife in his heart, and even if they don't agree, if Zhao Yuling really kills them, their wives will definitely find other men behind them, and they will also wear hats on them, so it's better to save your own life first. Besides, in fact, even if they don't agree, Zhao Yulin will definitely find a way to attack upstairs in the end. It might just be a little more troublesome, but the fate of the women upstairs is the same, so since they are destined to be unable to change the outcome, why should they sacrifice themselves in vain? Thinking of this, Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian no longer felt so entangled and guilty. Then Zhao Yulin gave Wang Hai and Xiang Chuanjian a few words and asked them to perform. Wife, I am your husband Wang Hai. Tell all the sisters on the 12th floor, don't panic, we are not here to do anything bad. It's just that everyone has decided to move to Yunsong building, so I want everyone to start it together. Let's discuss it. Wang Hai's wife said upstairs. Husband, are you telling the truth? Wang Hai replied loudly, what I said must be true. Although the water level downstairs is rising slowly, it has been rising slowly. It won't be long before this hotel will be submerged. Xiang Chuanjian beside Wang Hai also shouted anxiously upstairs. Xiaoyan, I am your husband Xiang Chuanjian. The water downstairs has risen a lot, and now there is water in the room. So, we have to evacuate this hotel quickly. Why are you blocking the stairs? You don't want to leave? Move the blocking things away quickly, and then come down and leave with us. Xiang Chuanjian's wife asked upstairs. Husband, we heard a lot of people making noise downstairs, and some people were screaming. Is there really nothing happening downstairs? Zhao Yulin finally understood why the women upstairs blocked the stairs. It turns out I heard some noise. In fact, Zhao Yulin had been very low-key before, but when killing people, he couldn't stop others from screaming. Thinking of this, Zhao Yulin quickly gave Xiang Chuanjian a look and asked him to answer properly. Xiang Chuanjian thought for a moment, and then said loudly to the people upstairs, honey, there was some quarrel downstairs because of the matter of leaving here, and then about the distribution of supplies, and in the end some people beat someone. But now that the water level has been rising, the situation has become very critical. Everyone has decided not to fight among themselves. We have now reached a consensus. I will have a meeting with you and then start preparing to evacuate the hotel. At this time, on the 12th floor, Wang Hai's wife and Xiang Chuanjian's wife heard what their husbands said downstairs, and they immediately believed their husbands. After all, before the end of the world, they kept the truth at home, and even their husbands would not dare to lie to them. Then the two women looked at the woman who was directing them to work. That woman has a delicate face and a very domineering figure, and more importantly because of her identity. She may not be a household name before the end of the world, but she will definitely be the object of many men's fantasies. Xiang Chuanjian's wife first spoke. Mimi, you should have heard what my husband said, right? Nothing bad happened downstairs, and they are not here to hurt us, they are here to take us away. This is a hotel, so we'd better move the things blocking the stairs quickly. Yes, this woman is the big star Zhao Mimi, of course. This is a parallel world in 2088, so it is still a little different from the big star Li Xialuo remembers. Although Zhao Mimi in this parallel world is almost 30, she is still single and more charming and beautiful. Then next to Zhao Mimi, there is Gulai Irina, the leading actress whom she single-handedly made famous, a beauty with extremely good looks. Many of the women on the 12th floor are actually Zhao Mimi's assistants, employees, etc. Plus she was famous before the end, so these women on the 12th floor all chose Zhao Mimi to be the leader. Wang Hai's wife also followed at this time and said, yes, Mimi, in fact, it is unnecessary for us to do this. If the men downstairs really wanted to hurt us, they would have done it long ago. How could they wait until now? But Zhao Mimi shook her head calmly. We can't let them come up. Your husband lied. Chapter 213. A Hong Kong actress who thinks highly of herself. Hearing Zhao Mimi's words, Wang Hai's wife and Xiang Chuanjian's wife suddenly looked ugly. Say their husbands lied to them. It's simply an insult to them. You must know that before the end of the world, their husbands were treated submissively and obediently by them. If they say go east, their husbands will never dare to go west. They say they must go home before 10 o'clock every day, but their husbands dare not go home at a minute after 10 o'clock. Moreover, their husbands have always cared about them, making delicious food for them before the end, and raising them until they were fat and white. Their husbands are such good people, If the men downstairs really want to harm them, will their husbands cover for them, even if I kill 2 women? I won't believe it. Jealousy must be because Xiao Mimi, a woman who doesn't have a husband herself, is jealous that they have a good husband. HMPH, Mimi, although you are the leader of us women. But I hope you can pay attention to your words. You are a big star, and you should know that it is wrong to frame others without evidence. That's right, you also heard it. Not only my husband said that, but both of our husbands said that. Could it be that both of our husbands are bad people, Xiao? Mimi was not angry because of the words of the 2 women. She said in a calm tone, "You two, since I dare to say that your husband is lying to you, I am not just talking casually. I have evidence. Besides, there have been noisy fights or fights downstairs before, but have you ever seen me so nervous and troublesome before? I'll tell you directly what happened. In fact, since the temperature rose, I have been sending people to secretly monitor the stairs every day, watching every move downstairs. The sisters who were monitoring today discovered something unusual downstairs. First, Zhao Yulin led many people into the room assigned to the crew. And when Zhao Yulin and the others broke in, there was a burst of screams in the room. The sound of fighting. When Zhao Yulin and those people opened the door and came out, the sisters who were monitoring saw with their own eyes that the whole room was full of blood and dead people. Then Zhao Yulin and those people started knocking on other rooms, so the sisters who were in charge of monitoring immediately went upstairs report to me. Hearing Zhao Mimi's words, the faces of many women around him suddenly showed fear. After all, after Zhao Mimi learned the news, she did not immediately tell the truth to the woman on the 12th floor. She just used the excuse that something bad might have happened downstairs to make the women upstairs have a sense of crisis, and then everyone blocked the stairs together. In fact, the reason why I don't say it too clearly is because I'm afraid it will arouse the fear of all women, but now the men downstairs have really turned into thugs, and they are trying to take advantage of them. I'm afraid even if she doesn't say anything, those men will show their fangs by then. In addition, there are still women who are still living in the dream before the end, so Zhao Mimi can only say it without fear of causing any panic. However, Wang Hai's wife and Xiang Chuanjian's wife heard what Zhao Mimi said. Now they already had objections to Zhao Mimi, but subconsciously they didn't want to believe it. Wang Hai's wife said, "Huh, Zhao Mimi, are these all excuses you made up yourself? Otherwise, why didn't you just tell us clearly earlier?" Irina couldn't stand it anymore. She stood up to defend Zhao Mimi and said, "Two eldest sisters, Sister Mi really didn't lie to you. Many people are dead downstairs. Now those men want to go upstairs. They didn't hold a meeting with us to discuss leaving here at all. They just want to come up and hurt us." Wang Hai's wife snorted, "Irina, you and Zhao Mimi are in the same group, so naturally you are on her side. But ask everyone, do other people believe your lies? As the saying goes, where there are people, there are rivers and lakes. Even a group of women are no exception." Wang Hai's wife knew that among them, there were several women who couldn't stand Zhao Mimi and Irina, especially the other female stars in the crew before the end, because Zhao Mimi and Irina were there. Although they were the third and fourth women in the crew before, they have always been transparent. The light has been covered, and even if they are a little transparent, they have earned it by working hard to accompany the sponsor's father, the director, and the producer, so they are naturally very unbalanced before the end. Because of Zhao Mimi's status, they did not dare to directly express their dissatisfaction, but in this post-apocalyptic world, they often contradict Zhao Mimi. Now, it's their turn to appear again. Suddenly, a woman in her 30s stood up. This woman's name was Zhang Mengmeng, a has-been actress from Zhangjiang, but she still feels good about herself and thinks highly of herself. After all, she is a star in Hong Kong, and because she usually wears bold clothes and reveals a lot, she can still make money. Zhang Mengmeng kindly advised, "Don't argue, don't hurt the harmony. Since everyone has a dispute, let's take a fair approach and let everyone vote. If there are many people who believe in Mimi, then we will continue to block the passage of the stairs and prevent those men from going upstairs. If there are not many people who believe in Mimi, then how about we remove the things blocking the stairs and let those men come up for the meeting?" Wang Hai's wife immediately flattered her and said, "Miss Mengmeng, you are indeed a big star in Zhangjiang, but you are much more qualified than some actresses. I thought she was the only one here and everyone would listen to her, but we can't not her slave." Xiang Chuanjian's wife also said, "I also agree with voting, but I don't believe that some people can really cover up the sky with one hand." Looking at the woman in front of her, Zhao Mimi sighed deeply in her heart. I still feel a little sad. If it were before the end, she would not panic if anything happened, because she has the confidence to solve any trouble. But now, her heart has long been filled with sadness. It's not because of pig teammates like Zhang Mengmeng and Wang Hai's wife, but because of their situation, because Zhao Mimi knew in her heart that even if Zhang Mengmeng and the others were not there to stop her, even if all of them women could work together to resist, but it's just delaying time, the final result is actually the same. Sooner or later those thugs downstairs will attack upstairs, because they blocked the stairs. But they could climb up through the windows from outside the hotel anyway. Only 2 floors of the entire hotel are above the water. Even if they fall, they will not die. So Zhao Mimi knew that they actually couldn't resist the thugs downstairs, and with the presence of pig teammates, Zhao Mimi and Xialuo naturally felt even more depressed, also full of deep helplessness, because they all know that if the men downstairs really become thugs and then go upstairs again, then the 2 of them may end up with the worst fate. After all, both Zhao Mimi and Xialuo know their attraction to those men. In fact, during the ice disaster, everyone got along fairly well. But the eyes of many men looking at them are already full of desire. Chapter 214 Zhang Mengmeng's thoughts. Seeing that Zhao Mimi and the others did not refute, Zhang Mengmeng showed a proud smile on her face. In fact, she didn't completely disbelieve what Damimi said. She is not a silly person, but she has seen too many dark things. Now is the end of the world when order has collapsed. It is not impossible for the man downstairs to kill someone and then become a thug. Men, since ancient times, have been much more violent than women. As for what the 2 women and their husbands downstairs said, the 2 women felt that their husbands would not lie to them. But Zhang Mengmeng would not be as stupid as them. How long has it been now to still think that their husbands will be as caring and caring to them as they were before the apocalypse, and then do what they say? Haven't you heard that husband and wife are like birds in the same forest, and they fly apart when disaster strikes? However, although Zhang Mengmeng thought so in her heart, she still jumped out to oppose Zhao Mimi. In fact, it's her reason too. First, of course she couldn't stand Zhao Mimi, because she paid a lot of humiliating price for that drama before the end. Sleeping with everyone from the sponsor's father to the director and screenwriter. Those old guys were having so much fun that they made her sick for several days. Originally she thought that the second female lead was a sure thing, but in the end Zhao Mimi came with Xialuo, so she could only be the 3rd female lead. The entertainment industry is like that. There are many women who are willing to take off their clothes and sleep with them, but not all of them will get the opportunities they want if they sleep with them. Those popular female celebrities have much better earning power than them, so even if people do nothing, there are still plenty of opportunities to come to their door. So Zhang Mengmeng naturally hated Zhao Mimi, especially after the apocalypse, and always opposed her. As for the second reason, if the men downstairs really become thugs, then what's the use of Zhang Mengmeng and other women resisting? They are all weak women. In an era without order, the only thing they can do is to rely on men, instead of resisting, because their strength is no match for men. Maybe they will suffer more torture and harm because of their resistance, but if they didn't resist, would the men downstairs still kill them? Of course not. After those men go upstairs, they will definitely only do some things that men like to do. For Zhang Mengmeng, taking off her clothes to sleep with a man is as simple as eating and drinking. Even before the end of the world, she did it voluntarily. In most situations in the future, you may be a little helpless, and the number of people may be a bit too large, but Zhang Mengmeng didn't think it was anything. Women have a very strong endurance. More importantly, if she can lead the woman upstairs to help the man downstairs go upstairs, then those men will definitely look at her with admiration and even re-employ her. The above 2 points are the reasons why Zhang Mengmeng firmly stood up and opposed Zhao Mimi. In short, it doesn't matter to her whether the man downstairs has turned into a thug or not. Zhang Mengmeng smiled and said, "Mimi, look, since everyone wants to vote, let's start." Zhao Mimi glanced at Zhang Mengmeng expressionlessly, and then her delicate face turned cold. "What's the beginning? Did I say there was going to be a vote?" There was no vote. Everyone continued to move furniture and block me. Stair access. Zhang Mengmeng was stunned for a moment and screamed, "Zhao Mimi, what do you mean? Why do you want everyone to listen to you?" Zhao Mimi said domineeringly, "Why? Just because I am the team leader elected by everyone, okay? Since I am the team leader, you must listen to me. If you have any objections, follow the rules we set before. You can re-elect the team leader. But until a new team leader is elected, you must listen to me." Zhang Mengmeng said angrily, "Zhao Mimi, we let you be our leader because we trust you, not because we let you treat us as slaves." Wang Hai's wife also said, That's right, isn't it just a team leader? Since we chose you before, we can also drive you down from the position of team leader now, Xiao. Mimi smiled and said, okay, then we will have a meeting in the evening, and then we will vote on whether I am no longer qualified to be the team leader. If most people think that I am not qualified to continue to be the team leader, then let's continue voting for a new team leader, Zhang Mengmeng retorted. Xiao Mimi, why is it night? We can vote now, you are stalling for time, Xiao. Mimi snorted coldly, we have rules. If many people propose to re-elect a new team leader, the old team leader must organize everyone to vote on the same day on whether to re-elect, and then before the next day, new elections must be held. So, I asked everyone to hold a vote on whether to remove me at night, and then held an election for the new team leader. It is already faster than the process we previously prescribed. Why am I delaying time? Hearing what Xiao Mimi said, Zhang Mengmeng and Wang Hai's wife were immediately speechless and didn't know how to refute. But who is Xiao Mimi? They won't refute it, but she doesn't intend to let them go. Xiao Mimi looked at Zhang Mengmeng and the others with a serious face. Besides, what if I am really delaying time? Will it cause any harm to all of us? But you are so urgent. Do you really want those thugs downstairs to come upstairs? Zhang Mengmeng said with an ugly face. Xiao Mimi, don't slander me. The people downstairs are all our companions. Why are they thugs? Wang Hai's wife also said, that's right, Xiao Mimi, please don't slander anyone. That's her husband. How can he become a thug? Okay, since you want to vote at night, then we will wait for you until night. However, before they finished speaking, Zhao Yulin's impatient voice came from downstairs. All the women upstairs, listen, my patience is limited. If you don't move the things blocking the stairwell, we will have to leave by ourselves by then. Don't blame us for not taking you with us, Zhao Mimi shouted downstairs. Zhao Yulin, please stop acting. In fact, since the heavy rain stopped, I have arranged for people to keep an eye on the water level. There is no such thing as the water level rising as you said, and when you were killing people downstairs, all our sisters saw it. Do you think I would let you come upstairs? Zhao Yulin downstairs was quiet for a while, and then he said loudly, okay, Zhao Mimi, since you are not stupid and have already discovered it, I won't pretend anymore. I now order all of you women to surrender immediately. In that case, I promise not to hurt you too much, but if you don't know what is good, then I will attack by force. When we fight upstairs ourselves, don't blame me for asking my brothers to entertain you. Can you withstand the ravages of dozens of us men? Haha. Chapter 215. Oh no, here comes a man. As soon as Zhao Yulin said those words downstairs, he obviously stopped pretending and officially broke his skin. When the women on the 12th floor heard Zhao Yulin's words, they still didn't know that Xiao Mimi was not being alarmist before. The men downstairs had indeed become thugs, and if they want to come upstairs, it's naturally not a meeting. If they were caught by those men who became thugs, they could not even imagine what would happen. If they think about it better, they might become female slaves and then have to play poker with many men. If you think about the worst, those men may kill them after playing poker with them. After all, they are already short of food, and they have to find a way to leave here. Will those men take all these burdens with them? It's impossible even to think about. You may bring a few beautiful ones at most. At this time, most of the women on the 12th floor looked at Xiao Mimi with gratitude in their eyes. Fortunately, Xiao Mimi was careful and allowed them to escape just now. After all, not all women are like Zhang Mengmeng, who don't care at all about which man they sleep with, nor the number of people. Sister Me, we have always believed in you. What Zhang Mengmeng and the others said about voting, I don't think it is necessary at all. I only recognize you, Sister Me, as our team leader. The same goes for me. I don't accept whoever is our team leader here. I only believe in your ability, Sister Mimi. Some women who had not spoken before are now hurriedly expressing their loyalty to Xiao Mimi. Irina next to Xiao Mimi pouted cutely. She really wanted to say why you didn't say a word before, but now that the results are out, you are here to show your loyalty. But now is the time when there are powerful enemies outside, so she still won't talk too much. Now everyone needs to work together to resist the thugs downstairs. Seeing that everyone was now loyal to Xiao Mimi, but looking at her with eyes filled with contempt, Zhang Mengmeng felt even more unhappy. No, she must continue to show her presence. So Zhang Mengmeng laughed and said, haha, that's ridiculous. Even if you know the thoughts of those men downstairs, what's the use? Could it be that as long as you show your loyalty to Xiao Mimi, she can really lead you to fight against those men? Stop. Daydreaming. We women can win against men except in bed fights, otherwise we will definitely not be able to beat men, and it's still a water world outside. They can find a way to get upstairs from outside the building, so we can't hold on for long. In my opinion, our best way now is to surrender quickly, don't annoy those men, and then let those men come up, only. In this way, they may not hurt us then, although you have never experienced war, you should have heard many stories. For example, in ancient times, if there was firm resistance, the enemy might massacre the city to vent their anger after breaking through the city. The fate of women was even worse. Come here, shut her mouth. It's her business to be mean, but don't let her shake the morale of the army here, now. That Zhao Mimi's prestige was even greater. Several women immediately came forward and blocked Zhang Mengmeng's mouth with smelly socks. Sister Mimi, what should we do now? Can you resist the men downstairs? Gulairina looked at Zhao Mimi and said worriedly. Zhao Mimi was actually worried and not sure at all, but she knew she had to resist, and she also had to have confidence. We can definitely resist those thugs, as long as we all work together. Zhao Mimi said firmly. Then all the women began to prepare for defense. If Zhao Yu downstairs knew that it was impossible to go upstairs through the stairs, then they would naturally start to think of other ways. Climbing upstairs through the window from outside the building seems to be the best way, so Zhao Mimi quickly asked the girls to collect all the weapons on the 12th floor, even mops then, except for the 3 women who were left guarding the stairs. The other women went to guard the windows. If any man dares to climb upstairs through the window, they will use all means to stab them down. As Zhao Mimi expected, Zhao Yulin didn't want to waste too much time in the stairwell. So he immediately arranged for 7 or 8 of his men to open the windows and climb upstairs. Ah, they are really coming up. Hurry up and beat them with a stick. There are also men climbing up here to watch us feed them toilet cleaning spirit. Thump, thump. Although women like Zhao Mimi are much weaker in strength, they now have a geographical advantage. In addition, it is also related to whether all women will be enslaved, or even their life and death, so each of them tried their best to stop it. Then every man who tried to climb up the stairs was made to fall into the water, but this is where Zhao Mimi is most helpless, because after those men fell into the water, not to mention being thrown to death, they were not even injured, so even if they resisted a wave of attacks, Zhao Mimi didn't know how long they could hold off the enemy. No, Sister Mimi, Zhao Yulin downstairs said that he has asked people to find some alcohol. If we still dare to resist, he will ask people to set fire to us. He said he would only give us 10 minutes. Time to think about it. Just when Zhao Mimi led a group of women to guard the windows upstairs, a woman who was guarding the stairs ran over in a panic to report the latest situation to Zhao Mimi. It turned out that Zhao Yulin was completely impatient. In fact, he knew that if his men kept attacking by climbing through the windows, sooner or later they would get upstairs. The physical strength of Zhao Mimi and other women is not good to begin with, and their weapons will be getting fewer and fewer, so they won't be able to hold on for long. But Zhao Yulin is obviously not a patient person, and the behavior of Zhao Mimi and the others has made him lose face. He must give them something cruel now. Anyway, he didn't plan to keep many of those women upstairs. If the woman upstairs was really ungrateful, he would really set her on fire. As for Zhao Yulin and the others, they had actually made plans to leave the hotel a long time ago, and they had prepared rafts and everything. Sister Me, the men downstairs haven't climbed up from the window anymore. They may really set a fire. What should I do? At this time, all the women were really panicking. If the man downstairs continues to attack, although they will be very scared, at least they will have the courage to resist, and at least there will be a glimmer of hope. But if the man downstairs really wanted to resort to such despicable methods as setting fire to the place, they would be powerless to stop him. Even Zhao Mimi and Gulairina are extremely desperate because they don't know how to stop it, unless they surrender now. But thinking about Zhao Yulin's words and his face, it would be better to die directly than to surrender. Ah, who are you? How did you appear here, Sister Mimi? It's bad. There is a man here who climbed up the stairs from nowhere. Hearing the exclamations of several women, Zhao Mimi and Gulairina ran over looking at Li Xialuo, who suddenly appeared. They all had question marks on their faces. Everyone has been living in this hotel together for several months, but how come they have no impression of Li Xialuo at all? Chapter 216 Too Arrogant. After all, there were only so many survivors in the entire Huashan hotel. After some fell ill and died one after another, there were only a few dozen people in total. Moreover, during the ice disaster period, men and women did not live separately. and everyone would often gather together for meetings or work. So although Zhao Mimi and Xialuo may not be able to call all the men by name, they will at least have an impression. But just now they looked at each other. They had never seen this man who suddenly appeared upstairs in the past few months. While many women were looking at Li Xiaoluo in panic, Zhao Mimi said calmly, "Sir, are you not from Zhao Yulin's group downstairs? How did you suddenly appear here with us, Li?" Xiaoluo looked at Zhao Mimi in front of her. She really had an outstanding temperament and a very hot figure. Then there is Xialuo next to her. Her fair skin, good looks and graceful figure are also the goddess of countless Oedipus. In fact, when Li Xiaoluo was on the speedboat just now, he not only enjoyed the show for a while through the drone, but also took a good look at the beauty of Zhao Mimi and the others. But at this time, under the close-up view, Li Xiaoluo still couldn't help but admire them. They were indeed some of the popular actresses who could rely on their looks to make a living before the end of the world. Li Xiaoluo liked them in her previous life. Of course, Li Xiaoluo is not a fan of them and has not even seen any of their works. She just simply likes them. Moreover, Zhao Mimi is truly worthy of being a boss, and she is still able to remain calm even in times of crisis. Li Xiaoluo looked at Zhao Mimi and smiled slightly. "Of course I am not in the same group as the men downstairs. I want a woman, and I will never do something so tasteless as coercion." Hearing the conversation between Li Xiaoluo and Zhao Mimi, the women on the 12th floor suddenly came to their senses. Many women looked at Li Xiaoluo and talked quietly. "Ah, it seems that I have never seen him before. I have no impression at all." "I don't have any impression either, fortunately. Then he is not one of those thugs. I thought we were doomed." But Zhao Mimi looked at Li Xiaoluo, her eyes brightened, as if she had grasped a life-saving straw. "Sir, I don't know your name?" "Listen to what you mean. You know what happened here, but you still dare to show up here. We are here, so you have a way to help us get through this crisis." Immediately, Xialuo and the others looked at Li Xiaoluo eagerly, as if they really hoped to hear the answer they wanted from Li Xiaoluo, because they were already desperate. Some women are even thinking about surrendering. Anyway, they have tried their best. Since there is nothing they can do, they have no choice but to surrender. Maybe those men downstairs won't hurt them after they finish playing poker. Of course, there are also many women, such as Zhao Mimi and Xialuo, who have never thought about surrendering, because they don't want to live in humiliation in the future. With their good looks and pre-apocalyptic status, if they fall into the hands of a gang of thugs, who wouldn't want to kiss them? Their fate at that time can be imagined. So if you want to become a female slave, you might as well resist to the end. Even if you die, it is definitely better than being captured. But in despair, a glimmer of hope suddenly appeared. Charlotte. Li Xiaoluo first reported his name, then nodded and said, "It's just a matter of a little effort to deal with those ants downstairs." Arrogant. It's so arrogant. Regarding Li Xiaoluo's words, all the women, including Zhao Mimi and Xialuo, inexplicably had the word arrogant in their hearts. They don't know where Li Xiaoluo's confidence comes from. Doesn't he know how many thugs there are downstairs? Even if Li Xiaoluo is the king of special forces, he can't easily defeat so many thugs downstairs, can he? But Zhao Mimi was very sensible. She did not doubt Li Xiaoluo's ability. She just looked at Li Xiaoluo and said, "Mr. Li, I wonder what the price will be if we ask you to help resist the thugs downstairs." Clever. No. That there is no free lunch in the world. Li Xiaoluo glanced at Zhao Mimi and Xialuo, and said calmly, "It's the price. Don't worry, wait until I deal with them first." Li Xiaoluo wanted to deal with the men downstairs not just because of Zhao Mimi and the others. After all, this is what he came here for. Who told them to send people to their own Yansong building and then target Yansong building? So even without Zhao Mimi's request, Li Xiaoluo still had to deal with the thugs downstairs. Now, it's time to give me a favor. As for what Li Xiaoluo wants, I believe Zhao Mimi and the others will understand. The woman on the 12th floor was also very surprised when she heard Li Xiaoluo's answer. In fact, even if Li Xiaoluo said that the reward for his help was to ask Zhao Mimi or Xialuo to become his woman, they would not be a little surprised. You may even think this is normal. After all, as long as you are a man, as long as you are not physically defective, you will have such thoughts. Even Zhao Mimi and Xialuo were already thinking about what they would do if Li Xiaoluo made such a request. Should I seize this opportunity or seize this opportunity? However, Li Xiaoluo doesn't play by the rules. This made them tangle and think about it for a long time, but it seemed that there was no use for it. "Sister Mimi, Zhao Yulin downstairs said that we still have 3 minutes to think about it. If we don't reply to him in 3 minutes, he will set fire to it. At this time, the woman guarding the stairs ran over again and reported to Zhao Mimi the latest threat from Zhao Yulin downstairs. That? BD Zhao Yulin, why is he like this? We agreed to give him 10 minutes to think about it. It's only been a minute or two now. Why are there only 3 minutes left? Humph, there's no point in talking to a villain like that. But at this time, the women upstairs were angry that Zhao Yulin downstairs was not trustworthy, but they seemed to be no longer as scared as when they first heard that Zhao Yulin was going to set a fire. After all, Li Xiaoluo is so calm and confident, he must be really capable. Right, let's go and clean up the ants downstairs first. Li Xiaoluo said something and then walked towards the stairs. Seeing this, Zhao Mimi and the others quickly followed. Unknowingly, Li Xiaoluo has become their backbone. When I came to the stairs, I looked at the block stairs. Zhao Mimi asked in a low voice, Mr. Li, should we move these things away now? Li Xiaoluo smiled. It would be too much trouble for you to move these things away. I don't have the patience to wait. I can just do it myself. Zhao Mimi opened her sexy little mouth and didn't know what to say for a moment. They blocked the stairwell with objects, many of which were large and heavy. Some big guys. They used 7 or 8 women before, and then they finally moved them with great difficulty. Mr. Li, can he move alone? Just when all women felt that Li Xiaoluo was too arrogant, the scene that happened next made them all open their mouths and couldn't believe their eyes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217. All the women are numb with shock. I saw Li Xiaoluo walking to the stairwell, and then all the things blocking the stairwell disappeared in an instant. All the women at the scene immediately felt as if they had seen a ghost. They had lived so long, and even though they had experienced the apocalyptic life for several months, they had never seen such a weird thing. Many women even slapped themselves hard, or pinched the person next to them hard, and then heard the sound of their companions sucking in air. Only then did they realize that this was not a dream. But what is going on? Then many women thought that Li Xiaoluo seemed to appear out of nowhere, and they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. This man could not be something. At this time, Li Xiaoluo had put all the things blocking the stairs into the system space, and then the stairwell was completely clear. Haha, those women upstairs are wise enough to move their things and surrender. Brothers, let's go upstairs and have a good time for a day or two, and then think about whether to leave this hotel. In fact, the movement upstairs and the things blocking the stairwell continued to decrease, and Zhao Yulin and the others downstairs naturally noticed it too, but they all thought it was Zhao Mimi and others who were moving, and then planned to surrender to them. So Zhao Yulin was in a good mood, especially when he thought that he would soon have the opportunity to play with the big stars before the apocalypse and fulfill his big wish. He became even more excited, but when the stairwell was completely clear, Li Xiaoluo appeared in front of them first. Zhao Yulin and all the men downstairs were stunned. What's going on? Why is there a man upstairs? And judging from Li Xiaoluo's appearance, he doesn't seem to be a survivor in their hotel. After all, they all know the male survivors in the hotel. Then where did Li Xiaoluo come from? And how long have you been upstairs? Could it be that the woman upstairs was already taken advantage of by him? Thinking of this, Zhao Yulin's face suddenly turned extremely ugly. Boy, who the hell are you? Why are you upstairs? Looking at Zhao Yulin, whose eyes were full of anger, Li Xiaoluo just smiled evilly and was too lazy to talk nonsense. FK, don't think that I can't do anything to you if you don't speak up. Let me tell you, if you do something you shouldn't do upstairs, I will definitely make your life worse than death. Zhao Yulin was naturally extremely angry. He had been thinking about it for a long time and wanted to drink some soup. If someone somehow got there first, wouldn't it be as disgusting as eating a fly? Have you finished leaving your last words? Then go die. Li Xiaoluo let Zhao Yulin jump for a while, then his face suddenly turned cold, and he had an extra submachine gun in his hand. There was no time for Zhao Yulin to refute, nor any time for the thugs downstairs to react. Li Xiaoluo took a gun and shot at the thugs downstairs, because Li Xiaoluo's action was too sudden, and the distance between the two parties was also very close. Li Xiaoluo was simply slaughtering the man downstairs, didn't have time to react. Almost in the blink of an eye, Li Xiaoluo fired all the bullets, and most of the thugs fell into a pool of blood. However, there were still a few thugs who were lucky enough not to be hit by bullets, but at this time they were also frightened, and yellow liquid flowed out from fear. Li Xiaoluo was too lazy to waste any more bullets, and the submachine gun in his hand suddenly turned into a baseball bat again. Then Li Xiaoluo walked towards the frightened men, waved the baseball bat in his hand high, and shot one man in the head with one blow. At this time, the few men who were still alive also came to their senses, and their desire to survive made them hold weapons to resist, but their hands and feet are still weak now, and they have no fighting power at all. Li Xiaoluo flew out another kick, and the huge force kicked a man directly to the wall, and then made a loud noise. The man's internal organs may have been moved. Then another baseball bat hit another man in the face, and the man subconsciously raised the iron rod in his hand to resist. Bang! The huge force caused the iron rod in the man's hand to fly away, and the shock to his hand was extremely painful. Then before the man could react, Li Xiaoluo hit him with a stick very quickly. The man also let out a scream and fell to the ground. Brother, stop fighting, we surrender. I surrender too, I surrender too. Seeing such a ferocious Li Xiaoluo, his strength was beyond what they could handle. The few surviving thugs suddenly lost any intention of resisting. They quickly threw their weapons on the ground and raised their hands. In fact, when Li Xiaoluo opened fire and killed Zhao Yulin, they had long wanted to surrender, but everything happened so fast, they had no chance to surrender. Now I finally took the opportunity to speak. Li Xiaoluo walked towards several men kneeling on the ground, then without saying a word, he waved the baseball bat in his hand and hit a man. Then there is the second man. Li Xiaoluo's speed is too fast, and he is not sloppy at all. It wasn't until there was only the last man left that the man reacted. He looked at Li Xiaoluo in horror and viciousness. You devil, we have all surrendered. How can you kill us even if you don't keep your word? Li Xiaoluo looked at the man on the ground. Funny, you have surrendered, but I don't seem to have accepted your surrender, right? And when you were killing the crew before, they also surrendered. Did you let them go? After saying that, Li Xiaoluo smashed the baseball bat in his hand directly. At this point, all the thugs downstairs have been killed by Li Xiaoluo. Originally, after Li Xiaoluo fired with a submachine gun, he could easily deal with these thugs by changing another magazine. However, since the female soldiers have grown up, Li Xiaoluo has not moved her hands and feet for a long time. Today is a good time to exercise, and having used drones to monitor them for so long before, he naturally knew that these people would not pose any danger to him, and all the women on the 12th floor were already numb with shock. From the moment Li Xiaoluo made everything in the stairwell suddenly disappear, they began to be shocked. Then Li Xiaoluo suddenly summoned a submachine gun and pointed it at the man downstairs. Then Li Xiaoluo changed his submachine gun into a baseball bat and started killing the still living thugs. Li Xiaoluo did all of this so easily and naturally, but the women on the 12th floor were dumbfounded. This man is too weird and awesome. Is he still human? Chapter 218. Ignoring the flattering Zhang Mengmeng. After confirming that all the thugs downstairs were dead, Li Xiaoluo waved to Zhao Mimi and the others upstairs. You all come down, I have something I need you to do. After hearing Li Xiaoluo's words, the women upstairs did not hesitate and walked down quickly. It is true that the sense of oppression given to them by Li Xiaoluo is too strong now, and they cannot even think of resisting. Don't even dare to go against Li Xiaoluo's wishes. Even Zhang Mengmeng, who was gagged and tied, was freed at this time and was taken downstairs, because they are afraid that if they do not carry out the tasks assigned by Li Xiaoluo thoroughly, then they may also become the ones lying on the ground. If Zhao Yulin, who died at this time, was still alive, he might be angry to death again, because these women are treated too differently. He has been threatening them for so long. But these women just don't know what to do. But Li Xiaoluo just said a word, and not only did they execute it immediately, but they were also afraid that they would not do it well. Vomit. Many women came downstairs and saw the bloody scene, and they couldn't help but vomited. But fortunately, these women don't have much food in their stomachs now, and they can't vomit anything, otherwise the place would be stinky immediately. Mr. Li, don't know what you need us to do. After coming downstairs, although Zhao Mimi didn't vomit, she was very nervous when facing Li Xiaoluo, and it was difficult to speak. Li Xiaoluo is really too mysterious and cruel. Although Zhao Yulin's people may have killed many people downstairs before, They did not see it with their own eyes, so although they have been resisting Zhao Yulin's thugs, they actually don't have much fear of Zhao Yulin's people, but Li Xiaoluo gave them a different feeling. It was not just the things Li Xiaoluo did that could no longer be understood with common sense. Moreover, Li Xiaoluo killed dozens of people in front of them. Even people who are willing to die will be timid in front of Li Xiaoluo. Hello, Mr. Li, I am Zhang Mengmeng, an artist from Xiangjiang. I have acted in many movies before the end, such as some familiar XX movies. Mr. Li, if there is anything you need us to do, just tell us. We will definitely share your worries. After gaining freedom, Zhang Mengmeng, after seeing Li Xiaoluo's superhuman abilities, now she doesn't want to think about anything but hugs Li Xiaoluo's thigh. Even if she is asked to offer her body right now, she will be willing. However, although Li Xiaoluo does not have a girly plot, Li Xiaoluo will not even look at her for someone who treats sleeping with her as casually as eating. Therefore, Li Xiaoluo ignored the fawning Zhang Mengmeng. Instead, he looked at Zhao Mimi and said, "Take all the women here and move the corpses out of those rooms first, and then take Zhao Yulin and others with you." Together with their bodies, they were all moved to the raft outside the hotel. "Okay, Mr. Li, we'll do it right away." Zhao Mimi was quite happy that Li Xiaoluo could tell her to do things instead of telling Zhang Mengmeng, who was more interested in pleasing him, and she was also very smart. She didn't say anything about what Li Xiaoluo ordered, and immediately took the people to work. Although Zhang Mengmeng was very unhappy, she was a star in Xiangjiang and had a very good figure, and she was the goddess of many Oedipus. Forget it that he was looked down upon by this woman Zhao Mimi before, but if a man here sees her, he will be polite to her, even kneeling and licking her. She didn't expect that Li Xiaoluo would ignore her so much, and even didn't bother to talk to herself. But although Zhang Mengmeng was angry, she didn't dare to show it in front of Li Xiaoluo. "I can only honestly follow all the women and move the corpses in the room first." When Zhao Mimi brought Irina and the others to the rooms of the men on the set, many women immediately fell to the ground and vomited. There were corpses everywhere in the room and rivers of blood, and the death conditions of the people inside the room were worse than those outside. Even when Zhao Yulin killed these people, he might have already dismembered them with the intention of using them as food reserves. How many women could bear such a horrific scene? Comparing the miserable situation in the room, Zhao Mimi and the others immediately felt that those people in Zhao Yuling really deserved to die, and letting them die easily will be an advantage for them. After getting used to it, Zhao Mimi and the others quickly started working. Not long after, all the bodies on the 11th floor were carried by Zhao Mimi and others to the big raft outside the hotel. The big raft outside the hotel was actually made by people in the hotel using bed planks, oil drums, foam and other things to use when escaping from the hotel, so the big raft docked directly on the water and was tied with a rope. This is also the reason why Zhao Yulin dared to threaten to set fire to the hotel before. At that time, he really wanted to set fire to it. If Zhao Mimi and the others don't want to be burned to death, they will have no choice but to dive, so that they can easily catch all the women. As for whether the hotel will be burned down after the fire is set, Zhao Yulin is actually not too worried, because the outside of the 11th floor is full of water. As long as the fire is not big, they can just bring a few buckets of water from outside to put it out. Even if the fire cannot be controlled, their big raft has already been prepared, and they have already planned to change their base. Then they can just jump on the raft and leave. Mr. Li, we have carried all the bodies onto the raft. Do you want us to do anything else? After Zhao Mimi took all the women to work for a while, she finally completed the arduous task assigned by Li Xiaoluo. It is indeed not easy. After all, there are dozens of corpses. Let some of them carry them all onto the raft. It was really scary and exhausting, but at this moment, many women know in their hearts that this is not the end of the world, and no man will spoil them. Li Xiaoluo took out a small bottle of gasoline from the system space and handed it to Zhao Mimi. People poured gasoline on the body and then set it on fire. Zhao Mimi quickly took the gasoline from Li Xiaoluo. Only then did she realize that Li Xiaoluo asked them to carry the body to the raft in order to burn the body, scared them to death. When she was carrying the body just now, she heard someone secretly discussing whether Li Xiaoluo asked them to carry the body onto the raft and take it away. As for transporting away, what to do, whatever is most lacking after the apocalypse, that's what he'll do with it. In their eyes, this is a corpse, but in the eyes of some people, this is meat. But fortunately, Li Xiaoluo did not want to transport these corpses away, but to burn them. Suddenly, all the women felt really relieved. After all, if Li Xiaoluo really had this idea, then they would have to think about their fate. Chapter 219. Have you seen other people with superpowers? In fact, The main reason why Xialuo burned these corpses instead of throwing them directly into the water was that they were very close to his territory. If he had people throw the corpses directly into the water, maybe one day these corpses would float to his territory. How disgusting it would be, of course, even if Xialuo did not throw these corpses into the water. After this flood, there was actually everything in the water outside, including garbage, food, corpses, etc. After all, the entire city was flooded, but you can't say that it's already in the water, so just throw it away. Just like before the end of the world, you can't say there is garbage in the sea, and then everyone just throw it away, and he still threw it in front of his own house. Xialuo can't control others, but he won't do it himself. After all, it will be him who will be disgusted by it, so there were so many corpses in the hotel that they had to be burned, and they were burned together with the bamboo rafts. Xialuo also burned the bamboo raft, which actually had another purpose, because as long as the bamboo raft is burned, even if Xialuo doesn't kill these women in the hotel, they will still be trapped here in the hotel and will not be able to go to Yunsong building at all, can't even leave this hotel. After disposing of the bodies in the hotel, Xialuo turned his eyes to the women present. It's time to deal with these women. Seeing Xialuo looking at them, all the women became nervous and apprehensive because they don't know how Xialuo will treat them. Even if Xialuo is a man and needs women to serve him, he doesn't need so many women to serve him. They are afraid that Xialuo will kill most of them, but just when almost all the women were feeling extremely nervous, only Xialuo walked up to Xialuo carelessly and asked with a curious look on her face, "Mr. Li, are you a person with superpowers?" Xialuo has a graceful and tall figure, a delicate face, and an extremely exotic beauty. Xialuo's impression of her is that she is beautiful, has a good figure, and is good at singing and dancing. Thinking of her dancing, Xialuo wants her to dance now, but at this time, Xialuo was more surprised that Xialuo would ask such a question. Xialuo couldn't help but ask curiously, "How do you know about superpowers? Have you seen other superpowers?" In Xialuo's impression, it would be another month before the superpower appears. Is there anyone else who, like him, had some adventure and awakened early to become a person with superpowers? Mr. Li, are you really a superpower? So your superpower is a space superpower? I didn't expect that this kind of setting in novels really exists. After listening to Xialuo's words, Xialuo did not answer Xialuo's question first, but said loudly and excitedly. Then Xialuo stuck out her tongue in embarrassment and said, "Mr. Li, I have never seen other people with superpowers. I used to like reading novels, so since you used your superpowers, I have been thinking about it. I have always been very curious, and just now I couldn't help but ask." Xialuo was stunned for a moment. It turned out that she had misunderstood. Xialuo had never seen other people with powers at all. It was just a guess in her heart. However, Xialuo's words just now actually indirectly admitted that he was a person with superpowers. When the women around heard this, they were very curious and at the same time felt relieved again. Naturally, what women are curious about is that someone can actually have superpowers. Will they also have superpowers in the future? After what happened today, all women have deeply realized that in this post-apocalyptic world, they will not only have to face natural disasters and lack of food, but sometimes also man-made disasters. If Xialuo hadn't suddenly appeared today, they might have become the female slaves of Zhao Yulin's thugs. You may be being insulted by them now. Even now, their hearts are still hanging, because they still have to wait for Xialuo to deal with them. They are like fish on the chopping board and can only be slaughtered by others, but if they can also obtain superpowers, then they will also have the ability to protect themselves. And the reason why all the women breathed a sigh of relief was because they knew that since Xialuo was a person who had gained superpowers, he was no longer a ghost or a demon, so naturally they were no longer so afraid. And after knowing that Xialuo is just a more powerful person, some women's sense of superiority began to sprout again. Zhang Mengmeng said from the side, "Mr. Li, I want to ask you to be my bodyguard. As long as you can escort me safely back to Xianjiang, I have a lot of money. How about I give you a large sum of money then, Li?" Xialuo couldn't help laughing. "Haha, big star, you're probably dreaming and haven't woken up yet, right? It's been so long since the end of the world, and the country is gone, and you're still talking to me about money before the end of the world? You used to no matter how rich you are, they are just a pile of waste paper now. Even if they are used to make fire, others will still find it objectionable and can't help but burn them. No, The disaster will definitely pass. I have worked hard for so many years and worked for so long to earn all that money and live a prosperous life. How could it just disappear like this? Zhang Meng became a little excited. In fact, at the beginning, when mobile phones and the internet were still working, they knew that the situation in the end of the world was very bad, and it might be difficult to go back to the end of the world. However, after the water and electricity were cut off, and then the internet was completely cut off, many women began to have illusions in their hearts. Maybe they are suffering from a disaster here, but other places are already returning to normal. They will wait for rescue then. In fact, although the women at the scene don't have a good impression of Zhang Mengmeng now, Zhang Mengmeng's words still made them feel the same way. Being able to stay in this hotel before the apocalypse shows that their economic conditions are relatively wealthy before the apocalypse. For example, two celebrities, Zhao Mimi and Gulai Irina, were worth a lot of money before their doomsday. Therefore, deep down in their hearts, many women also hold on to fantasy, hoping to return to the order before the doomsday, but Li Xiaoluo's words now completely shattered their illusions. Li Xiaoluo ignored the frustration of these women. As usual, before dealing with these women, he would check their information to see if they had any special talents. Zhao Mimi, friendliness level 68, potential value 20, special ability, none. Gula's Hina, friendliness level 70, potential value 86, special ability, space power, to be awakened. Just after checking the information of the two women, Li Xiaoluo was stunned for a moment. Unexpectedly, he discovered another woman with supernatural talents, and she turned out to be Gula's Hina. Looking at her enthusiasm for supernatural powers just now, I didn't expect that she actually had supernatural talents. If she knew about it, she would probably wake up laughing in her dreams, but Li Xiaoluo will naturally not tell Gulai Irina now. He will continue to check the information of other women. Zhang Meng, friendliness level 38, potential value 15, special ability, none. Li Xiaoluo glanced at this actress who felt good about herself. She couldn't stay. Chapter 220, the feeling of winning the jackpot. He saved them all, but Zhang Mengmeng's friendliness level is less than 40. It's strange that Li Xiaoluo, the white-eyed wolf, can keep her. However, Li Xiaoluo did not take action immediately. He continued to check the personal information of other women. Wu Xiaolin, friendliness level 62, potential value 17, special ability, none. Yan Lijuan, friendliness level 39, potential value 12, special ability, none. After quickly checking one by one, Li Xiaoluo found that there were already 3 women whose friendliness did not exceed 40. This made Li Xiaoluo feel a little ache in his heart. Do these women still like to be captured by Zhao Yulin's thugs? No one is grateful. However, Li Xiaoluo took a look and found that except for Zhang Mengmeng, the other 2 women who had a friendship score of no more than 40 seemed to have some impression. They seemed to be the wives of the 2 men who had persuaded them to surrender before. In this case, Li Xiaoluo didn't realize that there was anything unexpected. Some people may be like this. Even if their family members do something wrong, they can deal with it however they want, but they cannot let others take action. But how could Li Xiaoluo care what they thought? Since they still miss their good husbands, they can go to the underworld to accompany them later. Of course, looking at it one by one, most women have relatively high friendliness, basically over 60. Moreover, Li Xiaoluo felt that if he hadn't killed too many people before and scared a lot of women, they might be more friendly now. But again, Li Xiaoluo doesn't care what these women think. How friendly they are is actually related to their own life and death. There is another woman he has not checked. So Li Xiaoluo continues to use the probing eye to check her information. Qin Xianglin, friendliness level 72, potential value 80, special ability, earth power, to be awakened. After reading the last woman's message, Li Xiaoluo was stunned again, because he didn't expect that when he came to this hotel today, he would actually find 2 women with supernatural talents. In fact, ever since Li Xiaoluo obtained the exploration eye, Li Xiaoluo has been constantly looking for women with supernatural talents anyway. As long as there is such a talent, he will find a way to force it into his pocket. But Li Xiaoluo also discovered something. Because the proportion of people with supernatural talents is very small, finding a woman with supernatural talents is sometimes like winning a lottery. It all depends on luck. For example, in the days before the end, Li Xiaoluo stared at women everywhere with probing eyes when walking on the street, and was almost regarded as a pervert. But before the end, except for the sisters Shenmai Omeo, Josiah Tong and Qin Yumei were all unexpected surprises, and they were not found by him on purpose. It's the same thing after the end of the world. After the apocalypse, Li Xiaoluo would go out for a walk almost every day. In addition to buying a lot of supplies for 0 yuan, he also wanted to see if he could find any women with supernatural talents, but after a few months, except for accidentally discovering Xiao Panpan, Li Xiaoluo couldn't find anyone when he went looking for it. Every time I go out with high hopes, I find no one. Today, Li Xiaoluo came to this hotel because he found that someone wanted to touch his Yansong building. Li Xiaoluo never thought today that he would find a woman with supernatural talents, but when I didn't think about it, I suddenly discovered the two of them. Li Xiaoluo smiled bitterly. This is really like buying a lottery ticket before the end of the world. Sometimes you stay in the lottery shop every day to study patterns and trend charts, but you might not win. But when some people go out to throw out garbage, they randomly select a few bets on their mobile phones, and it might win. At this time, Li Xiaoluo felt like he had won a big prize, so after checking all the women's personal information, Li Xiaoluo felt very comfortable. As for Zhang Mengmeng's few women who were not friendly enough, they did not affect Li Xiaoluo's mood at all. Li Xiaoluo looked at all the women and said, "Attention, all of you, this hotel is my territory now, you people can leave my place now." In fact, there are several women here, all of whom Li Xiaoluo is bound to win. The reason why Li Xiaoluo said this was naturally to retreat in order to advance. Sure enough, when Li Xiaoluo said this, all the women were stunned. They didn't know whether they should be happy or sad. Before Li Xiaoluo said this, they had been worried, thinking about what Li Xiaoluo would do to them, especially Zhao Mimi and Gulai Rina. They know their attraction to men, and with the blessing of their celebrity status, they don't believe that any man doesn't want them. But when Li Xiaoluo really asked them to leave and stopped bullying them, they were at a loss again, because they don't have any water transportation to leave now, and they don't know where to go after leaving here, but continue to stay here. Not to mention that Li Xiaoluo has already said that this is his territory from now on. Even if Li Xiaoluo lets them stay, they have no food, so even if you can stay, you can only starve to death. Zhang Mengmeng said quickly, "Mr. Li, we are all weak women. Do you have the heart to drive us away?" Li Xiaoluo said lightly, "I can't bear it. Because you are not my women, and I don't lack women either." Zhang Mengmeng's face froze. Li Xiaoluo's life was so infuriating. How could a star like her ever be so angry? Before the end of the world, even those rich bosses who wanted to play with her would have to throw a lot of money at her in an angry manner. But she has tried to deliver it to her door several times, but Li Xiaoluo didn't bother her at all. It simply made her lose face. But what makes her even more aggrieved is that now Li Xiaoluo is like an emperor here, and she doesn't dare to disobey Li Xiaoluo. Zhao Mimi stood up at this time and said, "Mr. Li, we are all women now and are not a threat to you. And we don't have transportation to leave here. Even if we can leave here, we have no way to survive." Exclamation mark. "So, Mr. Li, can I follow you in the future?" Zhao Mimi looked at Li Xiaoluo with a sincere face and spoke frankly, because she knew that actually leaving or staying in this hotel was not the point if you want to survive. The key is whether you can follow Li Xiaoluo. Li Xiaoluo is a supernatural person with superpowers. Now he is much more reliable than the government. Gulai Rina on the side also quickly said, "Mr. Li, I want to follow you too. I am very obedient." Zhao Mimi and Gulai Rina both said this, and other women also quickly expressed their opinions. Naturally, they all wanted to follow Li Xiaoluo. Chapter 221. I really want to eat it. Looking at the women begging him to be taken in, Li Xiaoluo smiled. This was the effect of his retreat as advantage strategy just now. If he shows that he wants to take in these women from the beginning, then Li Xiaoluo will not only lose the initiative, but also make these women afraid that Li Xiaoluo wants to hurt them. But the more Li Xiaoluo showed disdain for them, the more they asked Li Xiaoluo to keep them. Of course, the reason why Li Xiaoluo did this time was mainly because this time there were two women with supernatural talents, so Li Xiaoluo spent a lot of extra effort. If there were just ordinary women here, Li Xiaoluo wouldn't bother and wouldn't care about their feelings. Li Xiaoluo hesitated deliberately, and then said, "Well, I want to establish a branch here. And I really need some people to guard this place for me. As long as you become my people, I will provide you with certain safety protection and food, but let me make it clear first, food after the end of the world is very precious. So I will not raise idle people. And I will not leave everyone behind. I will only select some capable people to stay. Also, if you choose to stay voluntarily, you must obey all my orders. And if you choose to stay, after eating my food, you will belong to me whether you live or die in the future, and you will have no chance to regret it. So you have time to think carefully now. I won't force anyone. Those who don't want to stay can leave now. After Xialuo finished speaking, all the women were silent for a moment. In fact, Xialuo's words are very clear. As long as they want to become Xialuo's own people, then they will almost become Xialuo's private property in the future, and everything must be obeyed by Xialuo at that time. Even if Xialuo wants their bodies, they can't resist, but even if they knew what it meant, no woman resisted like they did to Zhao Yulin's thugs before, and no one even stood up and said they were unwilling. They are just hesitant or reserved, because there is a big difference between Xialuo and those thugs Zhao Yulin. First of all, Zhao Yulin's thugs are very numerous, so they may have to face the destruction of a group of men, but it would be different if they followed Xialuo. Even if Xialuo coveted their bodies, they would only serve Xialuo in this case. Most women can accept it. After all, no matter what age they are not chaste and virtuous women. Secondly, those thugs from Zhao Yulin could only bring them fear, without any sense of feeling at all, because those thugs are ordinary people. They themselves may starve to death, drown to death, or even be killed by other thugs at any time. So if they still can't see hope of living after being tortured by Zhao Yulin's thugs, then they might as well resist to the end and die in an upright manner. But it's different with Xialuo. Xialuo has superpowers. The chances of surviving with him are very high, and the sense of security is overwhelming. Zhao Mimi looked at Xialuo and said, "Mr. Li, can you give us a little time to think about it?" Xialuo looked at the time on his phone, nodded and said, "Don't worry, you can think about it slowly, but before I finish lunch, you must decide whether to stay or leave. Of course, you choose to stay. People, in the end, doesn't mean they can all stay." At this time, it was already lunchtime. Xialuo would never treat himself badly or give in to his stomach, so he thoughtfully gave them a meal time to think about it. Then Xialuo released a set of tables and chairs from the system space and placed the ready-made delicacies he bought before the end: boiled prawns, steamed Russian crabs with garlic, overlord chicken, spicy yellow beef, spicy lobster, and fruit platter. Xialuo filled the whole table. Speaking of which, there are still a lot of these ready-made delicacies hoarded before the end of the world in the Lee Charlotte system space. After all, he bought so much before the end. Even if he ate it every day, it would be enough for him for more than 10 years. What's more, ever since the beautiful cook Liu Wangxi came to Longting Villa, Xialuo was completely conquered by her cooking skills and now prefers to eat her cooking. Therefore, the consumption of delicacies in the system space is even smaller, of course. The small consumption does not mean that the delicacies Lee Charlotte hoarded before the end of the world have no use. Just like before the end of the world, everyone knows that cooking by themselves is economical and affordable, so why do they still have to go to restaurants every now and then, especially after the apocalypse? Many of the delicacies that I wanted to taste in the past are no longer available. These in the Lee Charlotte system space can be regarded as a way to satisfy the craving. Moreover, if Xialuo occasionally goes out for business like today, the delicacies in the system space will allow him to eat well anytime and anywhere. Xialuo's actions directly dumbfounded the women like Zhao Mimi, although they are no longer so surprised and afraid of Xialuo's superpower. But at this time, Xialuo directly transformed into a large table of steaming, delicious food. The women around were shocked again. Some women are shocked. What is Charlotte Lee's superpower? How can there be so many ready-made delicacies, and it's still steaming, as if it's just made? Could it be that with his superpower, he could also fabricate meals out of thin air? Of course, this is what women who don't know much about supernatural powers think. People like Yulirina who prefer this kind of novels naturally know that space has a preservation function. All items will look the same when they are stored in the space, and they will look the same when they are taken out. But Xialuo's move was too tempting for Yulirina because she is a foodie. Moreover, their food in the past few months after the apocalypse has been very mediocre, and they have almost run out of food. Now that Xialuo has put a table full of her favorite delicacies in front of her, it is simply more uncomfortable than killing her. I really want to eat it. It's all Miss Mi's fault. What were you thinking about just now? Just surrender to Xialuo. Maybe they can get some food with Xialuo now. Not only Xialuo swallowed her saliva greedily, but all the women around her did the same. They didn't expect that Xialuo would directly unleash such a big move on them. At this time, all the women thought that Xialuo would ask them again immediately and ask them if they would agree to his conditions. Then they would definitely agree without hesitation. Chapter 222 The opportunity given to you is something you don't know how to cherish. In fact, Xialuo brought out so many delicacies at once, although it was a little bit of a show-off. Men, until they die, are teenagers, and there is no one who doesn't like to fill the cup, but Xialuo is not completely showing off, because Xialuo is really good at eating now, and of course he can do it too. Xialuo can finish this table of food by himself, not paying attention to the sound of women around him swallowing saliva. Xialuo began to enjoy his lunch. After Xialuo finished eating, the women around him felt that they had been subjected to the most severe punishment, because watching Xialuo taste those delicacies was so painful. Fortunately, Xialuo's meal is finally over. Xialuo burped, then looked at Zhao Mimi and the others and said, "Okay, the time I gave is up. Women who are unwilling to accept my conditions can raise their hands, and then you can leave." The women at the scene all looked at each other. No one raised their hands, and none of them wanted to leave. The ants are still living an ignoble existence. If they can have hope of living, they naturally don't want to die. Originally, they didn't have much hope for survival. After all, they had just experienced an ice disaster, and now there was a flood that ran out of food and could no longer hold on, and who knows what disasters may come in the future, but the appearance of Xialuo brought them hope of survival. Xialuo looked at all the women and said, "Okay, since no one wants to leave, then I will treat you all as willing to stay and follow me and become my people, but now it's time for me to choose who can stay." As soon as Xialuo said these words, all the women's hearts were lifted. They all know what this means. If they are not selected by Xialuo, then they may only die. After all, in this situation, what can they do to leave? Moreover, some of these weak women cannot survive after leaving. I hope I can stay. Many women are praying in their hearts. You, and you, Li. Xialuo didn't hesitate and directly called out Zhang Mengming and Yan Lijun. Those women who were not friendly enough, you have all been eliminated. You can leave now. The three girls who were named by Xialuo suddenly felt like a bolt from the blue. They didn't expect that there were so many people, and they were the most unlucky ones, especially Zhang Mengmeng. She couldn't accept this result. After all, she was a big star before the end, and Xialuo might not even be qualified to meet her. In the past, she had always been very fawning towards Xialuo. Xialuo should be very honored. You should be very proud. So even if Xialuo doesn't give her the preferential treatment as a star, she should never be driven away. After all, among these surviving women, no matter in terms of status before the apocalypse, or appearance, figure, etc., she should not be eliminated. Mr. Li, did you make a mistake? I didn't do anything wrong, did I? I didn't offend you either? Why didn't I pass? Zhang Mengmeng tried her best to control her tone and pretended to be pitiful and innocent. If this were before the end, she would have gotten angry long ago. That's why we didn't pass. We didn't do anything wrong. It's unfair. Mr. Li, please let me stay. I will be very obedient. I don't want to leave here. The other two women who were named by Xialuo immediately stood up when they saw Zhang Mengmeng taking the lead in defending their rights. Although they are very afraid of Xialuo, they will die anyway if they leave here, so they might as well stand up bravely. Maybe Xialuo will change his mind and keep them, or maybe Xialuo wouldn't hurt their women after all. Xialuo didn't seem to kill any woman just now. Xialuo looked at Zhang Mengmeng and the girls expressionlessly, and then said coldly, "Who can stay and who can't stay? I have the final say. Do I need to give you a reason? You just need to obey. Now, let me ask you one more question. Can you leave here?" Zhang Mengmeng shook her head firmly. "I won't leave. If you ask us to leave here, you just want us to die." Another woman, Yan Lijun, also said, "I won't leave either. This is where we live. Why should we leave? You are a powerful man with superpowers. Do you want to bully weak women like us?" Li Xialuo suddenly laughed. He was deliberately flattering himself, but Xialuo walked directly to the woman named Yan Lijun, and suddenly there was a pistol in his hand. "I have given you a chance, which you don't know to cherish. Since you don't want to leave, then don't leave. Go down and accompany your husbands, lest they be lonely on the road to hell. Don't kill Yan Lijuan was scared to death when she saw the gun in Li Xiaoluo's hand. Bang! But Li Xiaoluo didn't give her a chance to nag, and directly pulled the trigger. I'm leaving. Give me some time. I will leave here. Zhang Mengmeng looked dumbfounded at the side, then reacted immediately and decided to give in first. It's a pity that they didn't cherish the opportunity given by Li Xiaoluo. Bang! Bang! Li Xiaoluo shot Zhang Mengmeng and another woman with 2 more consecutive shots. Li Xiaoluo's series of actions made Zhao Mimi and others unable to help hugging their companions, feeling a little frightened. Even Zhao Mimi and Gulai Rina felt a sense of fear when looking at Li Xiaoluo, although they were big stars before the end and were sought after by thousands of people. To put it bluntly, without that halo, they would just be more beautiful women. How can you not be afraid when encountering such a thing? But fortunately, after Li Xiaoluo killed those women, he didn't kill anyone again. Li Xiaoluo even took out a bag of rice and some pickles from the system space. Suddenly, all the women's eyes were attracted by these foods. They had been hungry for a long time, and Li Xiaoluo had been greedy for a long time before. But now they are all hungry with their hearts in their backs. Isn't this food just for them? After taking out the food, Li Xiaoluo called over Zhao Mimi, Gulai Rina, and the woman named Qin Xianglin who had supernatural talents. You 3 will be the managers of this stronghold from now on. You will be responsible for the order and daily management here. I hope you won't let me down. What you usually have to do is very simple. Protect the safety of this stronghold, try to take in the women who pass by here, and then pay attention to whether there are any special situations nearby, such as a large fleet appearing nearby. As long as you behave well, you will have the opportunity to follow me back to Taoyuan territory in the future. That is my real territory. As long as you go there, you will be safer and you will get more food every day. Chapter 223. It can also be regarded as a geomantic treasure land. Then, with Li Xiaoluo's introduction, Zhao Mimi and all the other women knew that Li Xiaoluo had established a Taoyuan territory, and that the Taoyuan territory also had a headquarters and sub-territories. As for the people living in Taoyuan territory, except for Li Xiaoluo, all the others are women. Then Taoyuan territory has its own female security troops in both the headquarters and sub-territory. Those female soldiers are now basically more powerful than the female soldiers before the apocalypse, and they have actually killed people. Therefore, when living in Taoyuan territory, even when Li Xiaoluo is not on the territory, the female soldiers can protect the security of the territory, and this Huashan Hotel is just a temporary stronghold established by Li Xiaoluo. Of course, Li Xiaoluo would not tell them. In fact, when Li Xiaoluo first came here, he had no idea of establishing a stronghold here. Li Xiaoluo's original intention was to come over and kill the people in this hotel who wanted to take advantage of his Yunsong building, but after coming here, I first discovered 2 actresses that I liked more before the end of the world, and then I discovered 2 women with supernatural talents. So according to Li Xiaoluo, this place can be regarded as a treasure of feng shui. He temporarily decided to establish a stronghold here. The function of this stronghold actually has several points. First of all, we can let women like Zhao Mimi practice here first. They have lived relatively peacefully in this hotel before, but we still need to let them feel the cruelty of this apocalyptic world. Secondly, this stronghold can be used to house some people and add some talents to Taoyuan in the future. After having this stronghold, anyone who wants to join Taoyuan territory in the future will need to live here for a period of time. Then, after passing the performance and assessment, you can officially join the Taoyuan territory and go live there. The advantage of this is that it lets the women who join later know that it is not easy to become a Taoyuan leader. If they can go to Taoyuan in the future, they will definitely cherish it very much. And for those who have already joined the Taoyuan collar, if they know that it will be very difficult to join the Taoyuan collar later, then they will have a sense of honor. Then Li Xiaoluo will also set a rule in the future. If someone in Taoyuan leader makes a big mistake, he will be sent to live in the stronghold here. In that case, women in Taoyuan collar will cherish their current status and life more, and work harder. Finally, and most importantly, if there is a stronghold here, whether there are ships or survivors heading to Taoyuan territory, they will be able to discover it in time. A fleet appeared near here in the last life, but it caused Li Xiaoluo to suffer a lot. In this life, Li Xiaoluo wants to take the initiative to find them. Zhao Mimi arranged for several women to cook. Li Xiaoluo has regulations, and every woman's food has strict regulations, almost accurate to the gram. In short, each woman can only eat 5 to 6 cents full, and if they want to get better treatment, then they need to perform well, and then strive to be promoted as soon as possible and live there in Taoyuan. As for the three managers, Zhao Mimi and Xialuo, Li Xiaoluo did not treat them badly. Not only at noon, Li Xiaoluo deliberately brought out some delicacies from the space for them to add to their meal from now on. They will be able to eat enough every day, and occasionally even eat meat. After Li Xiaoluo was treated differently, the three women's friendliness towards Li Xiaoluo immediately increased a lot. But the person whose friendship level increased the most was Qin Xianglin. She is still a little dizzy now, because she is a very ordinary woman who used to be a hotel waiter. Among all the survivors after the apocalypse, she is also a transparent existence. Basically no one pays much attention to her, even among the men downstairs before. I'm afraid not many would set their sights on her. After all, she looks ordinary, has an average figure, and doesn't have any special status blessing. Unlike Zhao Mimi and Xialuo before, they are the center of attention both among men and women. There is also Zhang Mengmeng, who is a star in Xiangjiang and is naturally the focus of everyone's attention. There are even some women who were social elites or wives of wealthy families before the end, and are much more beautiful than her. Qin Xianglin really didn't expect that Li Xiaoluo would suddenly make her one of the three managers. Now I have a delicious meal at noon. It's like a dream. After settling the women in the hotel, Li Xiaoluo was ready to leave, but before leaving, Li Xiaoluo still left some equipment for Zhao Mimi and the others. Of course, the equipment Li Xiaoluo gave them definitely did not include guns, but only walkie-talkies, binoculars, and crossbows. Li Xiaoluo looked at Zhao Mimi and several management staff and said, with these things, you can always monitor the situation in this water area. If any large ships appear in this area of water, or if there are survivor ships going to Yunsong building, you must use the walkie-talkie to report to me. Zhao Mimi and others nodded quickly, indicating that they understood. In fact, they also knew that Li Xiaoluo left the walkie-talkie to them so that they could use it to ask Li Xiaoluo for help when they were in real danger. Okay, I'm leaving. As soon as Li Xiaoluo finished speaking, his figure suddenly disappeared. Zhao Mimi and the others opened their mouths to say something, but they could no longer see Li Xiaoluo's people. Just like when he came, he disappeared in an instant. Sister. Mr. Li, is he gone? Qin Xianglin looked at Li Xiaoluo who had disappeared. She didn't know why, but she felt a little scared. Speaking of which, when Li Xiaoluo was here, all the women here were a little afraid of him. After all, Li Xiaoluo kills people at his word, and there is no room for negotiation. They are also afraid that they will anger Li Xiaoluo, but when Li Xiaoluo suddenly left, they began to worry and fear again. Not only were they afraid that Li Xiaoluo would abandon them, but they were also afraid that they might encounter other thugs who might come to invade this place. Zhao Mimi smiled and said, Xianglin, it's okay. Mr. Li left a walkie-talkie for us. As long as we can contact him, there is no need to be afraid. In fact, Zhao Mimi also felt empty in her heart. She also knew that following Li Xiaoluo was the safest, and she also wondered whether Li Xiaoluo would take her to the Taoyuan, but Li Xiaoluo left suddenly without giving her a chance. It seems that she still needs to perform well in this stronghold. Moreover, she felt that Li Xiaoluo was becoming more and more mysterious in what he did, and some of them were simply beyond her comprehension. For example, for the three women who were eliminated, she had no idea why Li Xiaoluo eliminated them. Old? Not pretty? It seems like neither. There were also three women who were promoted to managers. If it was just her and Gulazhina, then she could guess the reason, but with Qin Xianglin's words, she really doesn't know what Li Xiaoluo's standards are. Do you just want to do whatever you want? On the other hand, Xialuo next to them was not as worried as Zhao Mimi and the others. She was just muttering in a low voice. Being able to make things appear and disappear out of thin air must be a space power. But if it suddenly disappears, what kind of power is it? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224: The Woman Asking for Help. After leaving the hotel where Zhao Mimi and the others were staying, Li Xiaoluo was not in a hurry to go back. Instead, he drove a speedboat on the water at high speed. Li Xiaoluo had no destination. He just wanted to drive a speedboat to experience the speed and passion. I also looked around to see the current water world. If it was in his previous life, Li Xiaoluo would not be in the mood to do this. He would only think about how to survive. But in this life, Li Xiaoluo has lived a very cool life. and now he has no fear at all when looking at the doomsday, so he has the intention to play around. Moreover, in his previous life, when floods came, Xialuo did not have a boat. Sometimes he needs to go out to search for food. He also takes some floating bottles, cans, or wooden boards to use as travel tools, and then goes outside to search for supplies. It was really miserable when I think about it. Sometimes it may take several days to soak in the water. In this life, Xialuo had already prepared a lot of water vehicles in advance, including diving equipment and so on, much richer than in the previous life. After driving a speedboat for a while, Xialuo finally got addicted to boating. However, Waterworld also made Xialuo discover some bad things. That is, when he goes out now, he has become a veritable stroller, because now if he wants to buy something for 0 yuan, there is nowhere he can go. Although there are many high-rise buildings in the entire city that have not been flooded, there are basically not many supplies inside those high-rise buildings. Xialuo is too lazy to bother. In fact, Xialuo is not short of supplies at all now. He just feels that he is missing an entertainment activity. After all, in the past, it was quite interesting to go out and buy something for 0 yuan when nothing happened. Then Xialuo discovered that the further he walked toward the city center, the more things floated on the water, in addition to all kinds of garbage. There are even many corpses in the water. However, there are actually many things that are treasures for survivors. Yes, that's food, because the whole city was flooded. A lot of things were floating on the water, including foods that would drive current survivors crazy. Xialuo remembered that in his previous life, many survivors of the flood would actually be more comfortable in the future as long as they were not drowned by the water than during the ice disaster. It's because there are all kinds of supplies and food floating on the water. As long as they dare to go into the water, there is always a chance to find treasures. Xialuo often soaked in the water to search for treasures in his previous life. It was possible to find foods such as potato chips, spicy strips, drinks, and even milk powder in the water. Xialuo still remembers that one time he found a box of unopened fish cans among the garbage in the water. He was really excited at that time. You must know that a box of cans is not only large in quantity, more than 20 cans, but also salty, which can supplement the salt his body needs. So Xialuo was very happy at that time. He finally survived the ice disaster, and he finally managed to survive the clouds and see the moonlight, and he had a good life. That's right. Compared to the ice disaster period when it was difficult to go out for activities, Xialuo's flood at that time was not a disaster, but he was living a good life after all. It is afraid of comparison and everything. During an ice disaster, everyone can only snatch food from their neighbors, but during a flood, you might be able to grab some food from the water. But only Xialuo knew that the later stages of the flood were actually very difficult and dangerous. First of all, because the temperature has risen, all survivors can move around normally. Therefore, although food can be found on the water, as time goes by, there are fewer and fewer good things to encounter. Naturally, some survivors have to compete with each other for the ownership of some food. Secondly, because there is a lot of garbage on the water surface, and there are many corpses, etc. When you find a rotten corpse in the water, not to mention how disgusting and scary it will be also, because many people often soak in water and even have to drink dirty water directly, it is easy to contract diseases later. However, these things have nothing to do with Xialuo in this life. He just recalled inside, I will never experience the hardships of my previous life again, even if a whole head of fresh pork is found in the water in this life. Xialuo will not salvage it, because he doesn't lack that much meat. Xialuo drove the speedboat for more than 20 minutes and was originally planning to go home, but suddenly an idea came to his mind, and he might as well drive the speedboat directly to Longting Villa. Speaking of which, in the past few months, Xialuo has gone to and from the two territories through the portal, and has not walked directly from the outside. In fact, if it were before the end of the world, the distance from Wutuangyang community to Longting Villa would still be a bit far, but now, you can drive a speedboat in a straight line without or obeying any traffic rules. Then the time required is really not much. Xialuo is just trying it today, so Xialuo did not go back along the original road, but turned around and drove in the direction of Longting Villa. Although it is a water world now, because it is in a city, there are still many landmark buildings that have not been submerged, so it is quite simple to identify the direction. After the speedboat drove towards Longting Villa for more than 10 minutes, several unsubmerged houses appeared in front of Xialuo. Thompson Yippen. Xialuo knew that the house here was one of the highest housing prices before the end. It was said that the house price here was as high as 60,000 before the end. Xialuo often imagined that it would be great if he could have a house here, then he could just sleep peacefully. However, most of the houses in this most upscale community before the end of the world are now submerged in water, with only 3 or 4 floors still above the water. What a pity. Help. Hey, someone here needs help. Please help me. When passing these buildings, Xialuo couldn't help feeling a little emotional, so the speed of the speedboat also slowed down a little. Then, Xialuo saw a woman standing on the balcony of a building, holding a bra in her hand and constantly waving to him, but Xialuo just glanced at the woman lightly. He didn't want to meddle in other people's business today. Moreover, in this apocalyptic world, there are actually women who take the initiative to attract strangers by flirting with them. It's possible that he really can't survive, but it's more likely that it's a trap, just like the fairy dance before the end. As long as Xialuo comes to the door, several tough men will appear before anything else happens. Of course, the current Xialuo is naturally not afraid of such tricks. If someone really sets a trap to harm him, then just kill him. Xialuo is just too lazy to bother, but sometimes Xialuo doesn't want to cause trouble, but that doesn't mean trouble won't come to him. Chapter 225. The most popular thing among men in the apocalypse. 10 minutes ago, in the Thompson Yippin community that Xialuo passed by, after the flood, Thompson Yippin community was currently occupied by a man named Liu Filong and a group of thugs. Speaking of which, Liu Filong and his gang of thugs are not the aborigines of this community. Liu Filong and the others were just a group of survivors near the community. They were ordinary migrant workers before the apocalypse. They had managed to survive the ice disaster until now, but after the floods came, their original living place was just a low bungalow, so their stronghold was quickly flooded. They had no choice but to drift in the water holding the door panel, and finally arrived at this high-end community with great difficulty. Then the survivors in one building saw how pitiful they were, so they tried to rescue them from the water and upstairs. After Liu Filong and the others arrived here, they immediately felt that they had really come to the right place. After all, this was the most upscale community before the apocalypse, and everything was so luxurious they can't even afford a toilet here before the end, let alone live here. In the past, they lived a life of endless hardship as long as they could endure it, but now they can not only live in the big houses here, but also play with the beautiful women here. This is the end of the world they want. That's right, Liu Filong and his brothers directly staged a real-life version of The Farmer and the Snake, enslaving the people who saved them. To be precise, men killed and women enslaved. Then they used this place as their base and planned to make a living by robbing the survivors who passed by. In fact, after the heavy rain stopped a few days ago, all the survivors who were still alive were basically forced to start their journey of survival after the flood. In order to find food, some survivors had to salvage supplies everywhere in the water. Some survivors have good water skills and choose to explore underwater. After all, the entire city has been submerged. Those pre-apocalyptic shops, supermarkets, wholesale markets, etc. are all underwater now. If they can find a resource point, it will be enough for them to live for a long time. However, there are also some survivors who choose the simplest and crudest way, which is to rob other survivors. After all, it's not like the time of the ice disaster. At that time, everyone stayed at home and couldn't travel far. At that time, there was no target for robbery. Now, as long as there is a place that is not flooded, there will naturally be many survivors passing by or coming to stay. They just have to wait and see. Room 1303. In the room at this time, 3 muscular men were shirtless, playing cards and drinking wine. Next to the 3 men, a woman sat waiting on them carefully, and the 3 women who were waiting for them were all wearing tulle, and their graceful bodies were in full bloom. While the 3 men were drinking and playing cards, they were touching several women's bodies from time to time, cursing and making fun of them. They were having a great time. Come on, this is still my landowner. I'm going to play my cards. They played the most common poker game, landlord, and the gambling capital was cigarettes. In the post-apocalyptic world, money will be just a pile of waste paper, and they will find it too hard to use to wipe their butts. What is the most popular thing to say to a post-apocalyptic man? Apart from food, the other most popular items may be women and cigarettes. Naturally, there is no need to say much about women, unless it was the previous period of extreme low temperature, which could make all men abstinent like the elderly in their 70s or 80s. Otherwise, unless there is a physical problem, which man doesn't want women? The other thing is cigarettes. After all, even before the end of the world, taxes on cigarettes alone can support huge defense expenditures, which is enough to show everyone's demand for cigarettes after the apocalypse. The survivors are under greater pressure and naturally need these things to numb themselves even more. Originally, during the ice disaster, many men might be short of food. But there was not much shortage of cigarettes. However, after the floods came, the city was submerged, and their source of cigarettes was naturally cut off. Now everyone can only rely on luck, so now cigarettes have become the most popular item among this group of people. It is also the most valuable thing, a complete luxury product. Whether they are playing cards, giving rewards, or even playing with women, they always use cigarettes as currency. 4 tens, 4 2s, King of Bombs, haha, I won, this card is cool. Let me count first, how many bombs are there in this hand? Old Wolf, you blew up 1 bomb, Lao San blew up 3 bombs, and I blew up 4 bombs. The total is 8 bombs, our low score is 5 cigarettes, then 1 bomb doubles it, 8 bombs means 8 times, how many cigarettes are there in total? Liu Filong finished playing the poker in his hand with excitement, and then began to count how much he won. Brother Long, don't forget it, each of us will lose you a total of 640 cigarettes. The other 2 men named Lao Lang and Lao Sam said with depressed faces. They were both hopeless. They originally thought that their brother Long was a simple-minded person with well-developed limbs. So they also discussed that they would win some cigarettes as spiritual food today, but who would have thought that the boss Liu Filong is so lucky that every time he is either a big king or a bomb. The cards in this hand were even better, and 8 bombs were played directly. It was really an eye-opener for them. This is a whole 640 cigarettes. Even if they take out all their belongings, it won't be enough, Liu Filong said happily. Haha, 640 pieces per person, not bad, not bad, please give me the money. After saying that, Liu Filong looked at the 2 men with a playful expression, and then used his big hands to knead the woman next to him unscrupulously. Liu Filong used to work on a construction site, so his hands were rough and strong. The faces of the women around Liu Filong were a little distorted when he kneaded them, but the woman didn't dare to say a word. She could only grit her teeth and endure it, because the woman knows that if she dares to make a sound of pain, this man named Liu Filong will definitely torture her severely. Although Liu Filong is the boss, and although she is the woman who serves Liu Filong has a good habit of being willing to share everything with his brothers, and the same goes for his woman, so she is the boss in this team and anyone can get on it. This is also the reason why Liu Filong will not show mercy when he tortures her if she makes Liu Filong unhappy. Hearing Liu Filong's words, the man named Lao Lang first smiled bitterly and said, Brother Long, we don't have so many cigarettes anymore, why don't we owe it to you first, and then we can pay it back to you after we grab the fat sheep in a few days. The man named Lao San also spread his hands and said angrily, Brother Long, I only have less than 5 boxes of cigarettes, not even 100. Hey, if I had known better, I wouldn't have made such a big deal. Who? You know how to fight against landlords, Brother Long, you are so powerful, you can actually hit so many bombs. However, while the 3rd child was annoyed, he secretly looked at each other and the boss Liu Filong, and then both of them had a knowing smile in their eyes. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.